Okay, we're just about set to go. Darryl Poole, a very influential player. Norwood and Port Adelaide, the grand contestants over many, many years. And this confrontation will be a beauty, David Mackay.
Thanks, Stephen. Umpires Richard Williams, Michael Avon, Craig Doddridge. And Dodder's officiating his first big one, the preliminary final. Will he get the grand final next week? Ken, we might just set the scene. They've met, 4 times this year. Norwood have won at the parade. Port Adelaide won in the qualifying final by 13 points. In round 6, it was Port Adelaide by 88 points. So we get underway with the preliminary final. Aaron Keating fired up. Didn't he play well last week? They heard him the week before, and he really said he'll come back today. He launches himself at the first bounce, dumps it down to Harvey, a torpedo deep into the forward line. Reid went down early, picks up the crumbs, shoots it around the corner. First blood already to the Redlegs, and Reid, who's only kicked 1 goal in each of the last 2 finals, gets the first one 14 seconds into the first term.
And how crucial is that? The centre bounce clearance so effective. The torpedo punt coming out of the midfield, just carrying the distance. You can see there, bang, off the boot it goes, carries a great distance. They contest for it, to the front it goes, and there's Reid, who crumbed it front and square. Tremendous snap on the angle, bouncing through, off break for the first one.
It's a great start by Reid. As David said, he's had a difficult time over the last few weeks. But what a great confidence booster for him. Poole jumps into it and does okay. David Brown, a frenetic little worker, comes out of the centre square, thumps it up there. First exit, Hodges in front spot. Well, Daniels cleaned him up a few weeks ago, so it'll be interesting to see how Scotty bounces back. Bassett sweeps it wide and Kelly takes it across the line.
Well, he only got 2 goals too, didn't he, Scotty, in the final here just a couple of weeks ago on Daniels. And Daniels was rated, Ken, one of Norwood's best that day.
He's a very good fullback, will be around for a long time.
Throw in, Darren Smith will do the ruck work. Bowman took front position, wins it down. A loose ball ricochets out. Bassett playing as a defender today, gets it off. Daniels kicking in danger against Treadray. It's a free kick, deep in defence. And the rain starts to fall at Football Park. Well, what impact will that have on the big men in this match? Cunningham at half-back. Macca comes across to effect a ship. Watch this. Oh, he nearly got there. I thought it was going to be a collision. He just missed the target. He would have put Bamford into second heaven. That's an FAD. No, said the umpire. They're really letting it flow. This is finals football. Anything goes. Keating gets through, feeds it off to Rowe. On the left boot, deep to Jarman, back in the square, dropping back northeast. And northeast cleaned up Jarman just a couple of weeks ago. Will he repeat that today?
And it is fairly belting down here at Football Park as Ginniver gets it in the centre square. Has a look at Poole and D. Smith. In the end, it was Borlase around the body. In the front was Bamford. He couldn't take it. Swept out to Fiacci. Now, I'm sure that George had the best option there. At least the execution wasn't great, but Brown was good enough. As he went around the corner, it's only as far as Davey. Davey works back. Nothing on offer. And how slippery is that out there? Daniels on the overlap does well and looks for the boundary line. In fact, he looked for Cunningham. Here's Growden. Great recovery from him. Went off last week and seemingly very injured. Rowe from about 60 to 65 metres out, thumps it up towards Reid. And Smart, who takes a good one.
And a hard one to grab in these conditions.
That's an excellent mark when you consider the torrential downpour that is occurring at this moment. Smart, one of the 3 talls in the Norwood forward line, wearing number 22. Eyes on the ball, magnificent, strong hands.
So Smart is standing just outside the 50-metre line. He'll have a ping at it from about 40 metres out. Heads down, the leg looks strong, it looks long, and it looks very, very good. The Redlegs a dream start, 2 goals, 3.5 minutes gone.
Stephen Rowe featuring early in this game. You see him here receive this football and use it to the front of the square. He set it up with a good kick, and the extra height of Smart just positioned himself well to take a fine mark.
Jarman looks as though he's playing alongside Reid at the front.
Yes, Jarman was magnificent in the second half of last week's final, where he really did contribute a lot towards the scoreboard.
Yeah, he kicked 4 goals, didn't he?
Well, he did it from half forward, though. You're surprised that he would line up right alongside. In fact, he's the only one standing in the goal square at the moment.
No, I'm not surprised, and in fact, that's a good part of his routine.
4 minutes in, the Redlegs 2 goals, 12 points. Port Adelaide haven't yet scored, but they have been deep into their forward zone. Ginniver had the kick smothered. Anderson thumps it away. Cunningham ricochets one forward, through half forward. Miller push. Yes, said the umpire. Just a little push. and Lees will come back and take the resultant free kick at centre-half back. Chips it out wide. Runners. Fiachi's there on the left boot, smothered by Macca. He's doing some hard work off the ball. Macca. Davey missed it, comes back for another chance, but Fiachi, off it goes. This is McGuinness. Got it from Treadray with the handball. The kick was smothered. Hodges got a little nudge. Play on, said the umpire. Daniel streams out. Excuse me, did well. Bowman, long kick.
Bowman got it from Harvey, had belted up towards centre-half forward. The rain seems to be easing. Just have to hope it's a hit-and-run shower as Francis looks good, doesn't he, in athletic through the midfield. To Smith, couldn't take it. Great tackle. Was it a push in the back? No, the umpire's waving his arms around. Play on. Dantocchi is there. So too is Brown. Now here's a good entry for them. Bamford, a little undecided and paid the price, holding the footy.
Failed to give it off the first option, and tremendous pressure from Todd Davey. You can see here he went to give it off, hesitated, and Davey was magnificent in his pursuit.
Jerry Dantocchi from deep in defence. Oh, right through the hands of Keating. It was a simple one, although in the wet it's not going to be simple at all today. Anderson went to touch at the ground, decided not to. Goes long with a kick under pressure from Giorgio, but Bassett. Now, this fellow's impressed me in recent weeks too. Have a look at him. Only 19. One of 4 players under 22 or 22 and under in this Norwood side. Cunningham just couldn't quite control it. It was just a little slippery and out of play.
Just back onto Nathan Bassett. 2 years ago he was touted as being a certainty for the draft. Last year he was overlooked. I would dare say this year he'd be one of the priorities early in the draft.
Actually, he's one of 10 players 22 and under in this Norwood side, I should correct.
Here's Dantocchi at the back. He's going to be put under some pressure by McGuinness. And then Borlase arrives. 2 goals to Norwood. Port Adelaide yet to score.
And you can see there early on in the game, a lot of kicks from both sides in comparison to handballs. That's the way it has to be in the start of any final. Direct. Not pretty, just direct.
Keating and McIntosh work it out at half-back. Then it goes to the heart of Football Park, laid down by Miller. Dantocchi is there, so too is Feagit. And plenty of players in over that footy, keen to get a piece of the action. Another bounce down, centre square.
Feagit, the big fellow. You just look at him and you can't believe he's only 20. He's a man mountain. Keating over the shoulder. Infringement goes the way of D. Smith. Plays on quickly. His urgency has been a factor in finals, hasn't always. Towards Hodges. He's got it! Scotty's got it! Well, he plucked that out of nowhere.
Well, Daniels is saying that he touched it, but the umpire can't possibly tell, Ken, from that. You watch Daniels' reaction. He knows he's got a little fingertip to it, but you just don't pay those as an umpire.
That's
as a
right.
touch.
Didn't obstruct the flow of the football, and really you're clutching at straws trying to claim that one.
Scotty Hodges, 3 goals, 3 against Central last week. 2 goals, 2 the week before against the Redlegs. Averages just under 4 for his career, and look at that. Right through the middle. Doesn't he kick the important goals? Gets his first, Port Adelaide's first. We're almost 8 minutes in, and the Redlegs lead by 6 points.
Smith playing at centre-half forward, one of 3 talls. Treadray, the other one, combining with Hodges. Hodges there, number 11. Great mark, one hand on the chest. That is extremely talented.
Doesn't miss many, does he? Lines it up straight through the middle. I know it's a grandiose statement, but that guy is almost to Port Adelaide what Lockett is to Sydney, isn't he? He's so important to them, and I'm not comparing him as a player, I'm just saying his importance. Laid down by Keating, row out, they're doing a pretty good job in the centre square. Poole not so influential early. Francis, oh, he's a good little worker. A feint on the handball, then goes back inside to the 50-metre line. Darren Smith's there and takes a fine mark.
That's an incredible kick.
Darren Smith's such a focal point. Fabian Francis, the distance of his kicks that really do travel. They really do carry. Such a balanced player, very athletic, very talented.
It's a pretty important kick, by the way, yeah, even though we're early in the game.
13 points the difference in the qualifying final. Port Adelaide had a win. They need to bounce back here fairly quickly. They did so with the Hodges goal. That one, though, is a behind. 9 minutes gone. 2 goals to 1-1.
Now we might just try and assess the strength of the breeze. There's a good shot of the windsock. Just like to have that replaced before grand final date. Looking a bit tatty. Dantocchi. Set play by the look of it, because Bowman just set off from the other side of the oval. He came this side. kicked it off the ground. It was a fair effort. Giorgio tried to claim the mark, no 10 metres. He gets the handball away. McIntosh score on the boundary line. Claimed by Borlase, gets through, still dispatches a kick of some sorts. Along the ground it goes. Feagit missed it. Cunningham got through traffic, bends it back around the corner. Now Miller's there, Rose roving. The big fella goes after it again. Good pressure from Leeds. That's a good contest. We'll watch for that as the day unfolds. Feagit again towards the boundary line. Good, strong defensive work. We're 9 minutes in, and Norwood are 2 goals, and Port Adelaide are 1-1.
So Norwood, head-to-head in the prelim finals, have done the best. They are 6 and Port Adelaide are 1.
Incidentally, Tricky, Norwood have won the last 6.
Well, that's for the statistically minded, I guess, as much as anything, and to show a trend, but I'd argue that different circumstances, different players, different coach, and a completely different sample here on offer. As Feagit, as you said, David, he's a real talent, gets it towards half forward, but it's a great mark taken by Davey.
So is this fellow too.
Davey playing at half back. Terrifically talented player, number 7 for the Norwood side.
Well, Ken, I know you've been scribbling away there. We'll get some of those matchups from you in a moment, as Miller had a crack at it at half forward, couldn't take it. Brown, here's Wilson, just digs it in and then goes to half forward. Keating back there, and so too Bassett, and hasn't he matured as a player very nicely? He's got a player on offer in the middle, and he's going to use Harvey.
The thing I like about him, Stephen, he plays at either end equally well. That's holding the ball. Well done, Fabian. More tackles than any player on the field last week, and that one was a beauty. That really is one of his great fortes. He stops players dead. Look at the kick. It's a long one off the ground. Treadray went. Bamford, bang. Second chance goal, and Bamford gets it off the ground.
May have been McGuinness.
Might have been McGuinness. Well, they both went at it. They both booted at it. And we might just pick it up on the replay. McGuinness or Bamford, one of them got it.
The secret of it is that Port Adelaide did have numbers at the drop of the football. You can see Treadray had an attempt. Was quickly flicked forward, Treadray, and, well, really, who did kick that?
Well, they both technically, that's touched, you know. They both kicked it at the same time.
You can either argue that might give him 2 goals rather than 1.
Boundary. And Mark Nayley, how's it going down there?
Big fella, it really is exciting football down here at the moment, but Gary McIntosh, the captain for the Norwood side, he is just really marshalling his troop. His voice is unbelievable down here at ground level. He's just telling players where to be at the right time, the right place, but Norwood have come out fighting hard.
Mark Nayley down there and braving some of those hit-and-run showers. Another big cloud coming over, right up into that full forward line for Norwood. Dickey goes off the ground. It was a good attempt. Brian Lees works back under some pressure. Is good enough, and with some time just wheels it around and gets it to Brian Benke. Now Benke, named on the interchange, has started at half-back. His handball to Borlase in game 200 for Daisy. Boundary line's close. Jarman's gone for a run, and then the boundary line wins it with Francis.
And Fabian won't forget that. Jar's lined him up.
There's been a bit of that target shepherding. We've seen one earlier from McIntosh, an attempt on Bamford, and then we've seen Jarman try and line up Francis as they're following the line of the football.
Dickey dispatches the kick as the Norwood bench warm up on the boundary. Rowe claimed by Fiarchi. This is tough tackling. Miller claimed by Lees, goes after it. Lees toe pokes it towards the boundary line. Now it's Anderson. The kick around the corner, left footer. Who's there? Poole. The big man did very well. Out it goes to Feagit under pressure from McIntosh. There is pressure galore out there. Wilson finally bustles Harvey right across the line. It appears to me that Wilson's got the job today, Ken, on Harvey.
Yes, Harvey's changing with Giorgio on the half-forward flank, and their opponent out playing on the half-back line for Port Adelaide. He's that player there, Nigel Feagit.
Heads towards the line, it goes over. Not on the full, though. I'm just trying to work out here, men, who I should be putting this down for with that last goal.
We went for Bamford. We had the people downstairs have a look at it. Bamford actually, foot was at the front, and McGuinness to the side, so we've gone with Bamford.
Fair enough.
I think both players would think they kicked it, by the way.
Sure they will. Miller at half forward as the rain starts to tumble down once more. Roger Delaney, only as far as Rowe. Jarman. It's a test of the skills, isn't it? It is absolutely bucketing down at the park at the moment. As Brian Benke works back, you can see it there on that camera shot. It's enormous rain. Short pass, and I think that's Francis out there on the far wing.
Spot on. He gets it off to Delaney. Injured late in the season, but he always seems to come back firing the finals. Roger has, of course, what's he played in? 6 finals, and he's done it pretty well generally. He's played in 5. Well, Kenny, you're our weatherman. Tell us what's happening here.
Well, this is clearly just kick the ball off the ground, just force it forward any old way. Not pretty, just effective is the call for the day here. Body in front, just keep your body behind the line of the football.
Darren Smith. I just have to have a look at the television here because across the far side it's pretty tough to see here live. Davey, he goes from centre wing to half forward. The target is Reid, who presented himself very nicely. And that's a good start from Ashley Reid. A lot of criticism of him, and indeed Jason Miller, for not providing that spark for Norwood so far in the finals, but it's a good start. Northeast, oh dear, Paul. Offline, the growler, Trevor Growden towards the head of the square. Watch for the bounce. Doesn't get an opportunity to do it, though, because it was a good mark taken by Feagit.
Feagit looming as an important player. This is kick number, or he gets it away. First handball, kick number 2. Now there's a Shepherd, no, set out by. They're letting everything go. To be fair, they're letting the players really enjoy the contest, aren't they? And Geneva gets the kick forward. Lee's off the ground. Thumps it again. 2 bites at that cherry. Dropping it was Bowman. He's done nothing wrong the last 2 finals. Claimed, goes to ground ball. A's got him. A loose ball spills, but it's a bounce.
Lockie Bowman dropped that, Ken, and you'd say, well, that's a fairly fundamental error. But the one thing about Football Park when it gets very wet like this is that it doesn't get heavy. It just gets to be like a cake of soap, that football.
Slippery.
And very hard to control. Harvey, centre wing for him, left leg under some pressure from Wilson. Still got the kick away. Fiacci led first to the footy. Benke's in there. I can imagine we'll have a closed down ball. Stephen Rowe sitting on the top there and just makes Benke know that he's about.
And as the ball's about to be bounced, some of the matchups across centre field, Crowden is on Francis. Francis, number 3 for Port Adelaide, having a big influence so far. And on the other wing, the members' wing here, Donald Dickey is playing on Anderson of Port Adelaide.
Yes, you think that's a match-up for pace, isn't it? Lee's doing well on Miller. Now, Miller just needs to get aggressive. That's been his trademark when Norwood have played well throughout the season. Is that Delaney going wide? It was, and runs on. Fabian Francis playing a ripper. Kick number 4 for him. 2 handballs as well. 6 possessions in 16 minutes. Bassett off to Reid, well down from full forward. Spears it in long towards Jarman at the back. Jar sits on it. Can't keep it in play. And Wilson's down injured. Oh, now he's a tough little player, this fellow, I can tell you. And if he stays down, something's really wrong.
Well, Norwood are certainly making their intent clear in this game. The target shepherding has been a real feature.
Might have a shoulder injury. Michael Wilson's taken a long time to get up. McIntosh is just sitting a kick behind the play, and he picked it off very nicely. Read it well to Harvey, and that structure's pretty good. Just have another look at what happened with Michael Wilson here. As he hits the ground. I'm not sure whether there's a hitting of the ground or the contest with the player. Certainly he's a bit sore.
And Bassett ran through him.
Harvey now from 40 metres out. I think he's hit it. So Norwood snatched back the lead. Nearly 18 minutes gone. They get their 3rd on the board on ABC Sport. It's 3 goals to Redlegs. Port Adelaide, a 2-1.
You see here Bassett just cannons into him. He got away the handball. Wilson came to effect a tackle and hit him straight up the sternum.
Straight up the sternum, left himself open. So there's a great...
An elbow.
A lot of experience will be gained by the youngster from that clash.
Well, he's tough. He seems to be okay now. Poole and Keating. Keating wins the tap. Loose ball falls off the ground, went Poole. Anderson missed it. Had an area, in fact. Now Geneva on the left. Around the corner goes. It'll fall forward as Bassett thumps it down. Davey evades the tackles, distributes it wide. Kelly, whose form in recent weeks has been outstanding. Off to Macca, who's always good in finals, isn't he? Now Cunningham, the runner. Look at them go. They're streaming down. There's leads aplenty. It's Reid on the 50-metre line. Handballs it off the ground and running from the wing. He's 30 and closing. Drills it long and low, but wide. And out of bounds on the full.
You've probably got to expect a little bit of that watching the television at home there today. Like, it is very windy, very slippery. Those either work or they don't, and in that case it was off the side. Unfortunate for Trevor Growden and the Norwood side, who really have opened with a great deal of ferocity.
Well, I have to say I'm a bit surprised that Feagit's coming off. I thought he'd started well, but Stephen Williams may have seen something he liked, and he's come off to be replaced by Carter. And I just was thinking what a great interchange bench they've got. They've got Rowan, Smith, Mead and Carter. There's a fair bit of talent there. Now, Keating's also started well. He just hands it off. In fact, he's not going to be allowed to. Now he does. Give it to McIntosh. Fancies the Macca leg better. Inside half forward, picked off though by Poole. Darryl Poole, a chest mark there. 48 games, coming up for 50. Very influential player, this boy.
Started in ruck as opposed to Aaron Keating, and that will be a great clash. Both sides have a ruckman on the bench and can use them if needed.
So Poole with the wide kick out of play. Score check, we're 20 minutes in. Norwood with 3 straight goals, brought it 2-1. So it's a 5-point ball game on ABC football. You should be enjoying this at home. And weather conditions, really, it's like it is in the middle of winter. Heavy clouds, heavy rainfall, and players going at it. McIntosh punches it long. Delaney under it. Jarman at the back. Can he get there with pace? No, North East did well. Got him inside. Stayed between him and the goal and smothered the kick. It's out of play.
Delaney really is having some trouble with the athletic read. He is leading well. Delaney will have to tighten up. You can see their great experience from those two fellows there. Jarman, elusive, got to the defensive side of it to have a kick, but North East equal to the smother.
Boundary throw in. Norwood threatening. Jarman. Oh, Stephen Carter wasn't convincing, was he? And before Benke takes it away, the umpire calls for a bounce down. Stephen Carter dropped for the second semi-final. A surprise to most people. I think I'm fair in saying. But he's back in business today, and the prelim final will certainly add some vigour. There he is with Harvey. Harvey just slips it out. Now here's Cunningham, who can do some interesting things and some very good things, but he's missed that one. Through for a behind. And Norwood's first behind, so it's 1 straight goal the difference.
And Ken, what would you expect from a Rover? A couple of goals a game average?
Oh, that's what you're looking for. Norwood do play their runners, their midfielders. They do run well into attack. They do cover a lot of ground. Cunningham is changing with Rowe, and you would expect both of those players to register on the scoreboard.
Cunningham gets it inboard, but he was out of place with the umpire. The reason I asked that, Cunningham, who just got the handball in, what's he kicked? 32 goals in 22 games. And I suppose as a resting Rover, you'd just look for a fraction more. Smart. Dead heat with Poole. No clear winner in that contest. Poole gathers it now. Stolen away by Harvey with the handball. Off it goes to Cunningham. That's what we're talking about. The finish. And he misses. He's got 2 points from 2 shots at goal.
We just go down to Mark Nailey, and nails the question about Nigel Figott. We thought he'd started pretty well. A problem with him or not?
No, I think Coach Williams just decided that possibly Carter might have a little bit more leg speed under these sort of conditions. I know it's very, very wet down here. The ball is very, very slippery and very hard for the players to keep their footing. So I think Carter just a little bit smaller in size and possibly just a little bit more mobile than what Figott is.
And I would agree with that, Mark. I thought Figott here in front of the members earlier, just moments earlier, had been taken off from the ground. Did lose his footing a little too easily.
Fair enough. I think the matchup was Figott and Harvey at one stage. That's maybe why the calls for the change. Brown goes off the ground. Bassett came crashing through, forced it forward to Davey. Davey goes to the boundary line. I think he's quite happy about that. No thought of coming back into play, just kept going.
There's no doubt about the intent of that, but just back onto the Figott thing. He's only a youngster. Stephen Williams, the coach of Port Adelaide, will sit him down on the bench, I'm sure, and just explain to him as to why, and he'll come back a better player because of it. So good move, I think, at this early stage.
Okay. D. Smith wins it down. Handball came from Growden out to McIntosh. He misses it. Carter on the left foot towards centre half forward. Treadray and Bassett, the 2 young guns. I'm looking forward to that contest, Ken. You might just give us a points decision a quarter to time. Tell us who you think's in front there. And Dickey and Anderson. Well, the young gun and the old soldier. And there's Jerry Dantokia, best and fairest at the club. We're 23.5 minutes into the first term. 20 plays 13.
Yes, that's 7 points for the Redlegs. They've started well. If anything, they're going with a slight breeze, I guess, from right to left of screen. Big pack of players there. Should be a little more accurate, I guess, with that assessment of the wind. It's mostly going across the ground, but if you had to pick an end that it's favouring, it's favouring the left
going
side.
Through the half-forward flank of the Redlegs, isn't it?
Yes, you can probably put that down for a moment. It's gone. But just have it on the ready, I reckon. There's going to be a few of those showers. Off the ground, Bamford in towards the forward pocket. Dantokia's there with McGuinness. McGuinness the pace, and Dantokia the ever-reliable tackle, but that one's going to be holding the man.
That was very, very clever play by McGuinness. I think that's knowing your opposition. Dan Tokia is so dour, he knew that he'd be charging at him.
So Phillip plays it on, hits the square, off hands and through for one behind. Back into 6 points the difference.
5 minutes into time on. Kelly back from a couple of knee reconstructions. Wasn't his form fantastic prior to that last knee reconstruction, although he's been pretty reasonable the last 2 weeks, Ken.
He's got the job today on, well, he opened on Borlace, who has changed as a ruck rover with Tim Ginniver, so he's taking a couple of on-ballers at half-back.
OK, now Poole took that just inside the 50-metre square, pretty easily on the chest, blasted back. Daniels from behind spoils. Loose ball falls. Bassett got through traffic, got one high, by the way. Yep. Umpires are right on the job today. Now the advantage rule allows to float. Bang, and there it is. Got it from Bamford. Back live, Cunningham slides along the ground. Bowman, a high ball, blasts it in. That's hard for the forwards, isn't it? Delaney got there, punches it back. Look at this, it sits for Carter. Off the outstep, it's going to find Piarchi. It's a fortunate kick. And George marks and plays on from half-back.
The kick from Borlace finds Darren Smith. And he takes it right on the interchange gate. It was a magnificent little piece of reflex work a moment ago by Jarman. Snared it like it was a dry ball and gave it on the up. Certainly got some talent. Well taken by Bowman. And Lockie has really matured at centre half back. He's been excellent in the finals and allowed Jason Miller to work through centre half forward. Poole slips out the back. Fiarchi, here is Miller. The option is there with Keating. Decides not to use him. Port Adelaide with numbers. McIntosh decides to hold it instead of giving it because there were plenty of players in there. Dickey now takes, breaks and puts it up to within about 50 metres of the goal, but Benke drops back. Takes the mark. Well, I'm not sure what Ashley Reid was trying to do there. 50.
Well, I think there's no doubt that the penalty was there. It was also some good acting by Brian Benke, number 24 for Port Adelaide. And he's an exciting youngster also, who's developed well in defence for the Magpies this season.
His kick. Has a look down at half forward. Michael Wilson's there. Hodges, Ginniver. Good tackle by Bamford. Here's little Timmy Ginniver. Can't get it this time. Oh, that reflex was excellent as well from Treadray. Sitting back is Keating. And Aaron, well, that's pretty ordinary stuff because it's going to result in a goal. David Brown doesn't miss from there. Made a mess of it, Aaron. Dropped the mark. An error on the kick. And it's allowed Port Adelaide to get back into business. The scores are tied away. 27 minutes gone.
Well, I guess how often do you see one mistake and then another one like a dominoes effect? Keating unfortunately dropped the chest mark. Then when he went to kick the ball with a possession-like pass out of defence to Davey, just missed completely. Darren Smith also missed the chest mark, but David Brown on the fourth chance wasn't going to mess that up. An excellent goal from him.
27.5 minutes in, scores are locked away. We should mention that 3-2 apiece. And Macca was held by the foot. He called for the free kick. Play on, said the umpire. For Piarchi, forward. Off the ground goes Ginniver. Escapes the run-on player. Now to McGuinness, who lost his footing, but there's a free kick behind play. And I think it might be Tim who got decked.
Doesn't normally stay down, does he?
Never.
They've been pretty ferocious, the Redlegs.
So he came in. Jerry Dantokia came in. Oh. And as he slid into him, and that's the thing about the footing, you just lose your footing. I don't know that Jerry meant to, but he just slid into him and connected him with the knee by the look of it.
Well, I would dare say there was no doubt that the intent was there to create body on body.
Yeah.
The physical side of it, you certainly have to commit yourself in that way. But unfortunately for Tim Ginniver, it looks like the knee just might have connected with the loaf of bread.
So it's 3-2 apiece, 20 points apiece, and Tim Ginniver's now back on his feet. They're back in business as well. The ball up. Bassett. Oh, well, unashamedly went for the boundary line and
there's a free kick to McGuinness here. Yeah, that was clever. McGuinness applied the tackle on Bassett, but as Bassett got up, he intertwined the legs and tripped McGuinness. So you watch for it here. McGuinness goes, just a little bit of pressure. Back live. Bowman misses it. Dickey goes at it. Carvey pulled off the ball. Now Dickey again. Treadray couldn't get it. Daniels toe pokes it into space. Was probably good play. Clever work. Hodges paddles it forward. but Davey is equal to the task. There is real pressure out there. That is a wet, slippery ball, and the pressure is intense.
The pressure is enormous. You can see the players lifting their eyes at crucial times here from, well, let me say both teams. But what great play by McGuinness, the initiator, often receives a free kick as the other player, out of anger, responds, and the free kick is given against the retaliator. So often we've seen Port Adelaide do that late in quarters, particularly in finals.
So there it is. Scores are locked away, Ken. Talk us through the term.
Well, I think it's just been a brilliant quarter, one of a great physical presence by both teams, some target shepherds. Both teams are well structured. Poole is playing a good game, a kick behind the play, as is Keating for Norwood in ruck. And the midfielders of both teams are going reasonably well. Francis probably the best for Port Adelaide, whilst Davies and McIntosh perhaps the best for the Norwood team.
So there we are at the end of the first term with George Fiarchi, Gary McIntosh just telling the umpires how they should be doing their job. And you wouldn't expect it any other way. At quarter time, Norwood 3-2, Port 3-2. The scores are 20 points apiece. You're viewing the preliminary final on ABC Sport.
So as you would expect with 3-2 apiece on the board, 51 kicks each. All of the statistics down there are very, very close, representing a great game so far. Reid, Harvey and Sam Smart have a goal apiece. Bamford, Brown and Hodges, so all singles. And on the scoreboard, well, it's tight. 3-2 apiece. And let's hope that at the end of the game it's going to be just the same. Now, we saw a fair contest, Mark Naley, just at the end there. We see David Arnfield, the Port runner, becoming involved. Just run us through what happened.
You can just see it there at quarter time. David Arnfield's always got a bit of a mouth on him. He's always gets himself into trouble. You can see Macca wasn't going to take anything from him. But both coaches at quarter time, they want to play the same style of game. They want to kick it long, but for God's sake, keep the ball in front of you. That was both messages from both coaches. Well,
I have the feeling it went back to the Geneva incident. We're back in business in the second term. Richard Kelly tries to clear it away. David Mackay, it was a great first term. Despite the rain, I expect this second quarter to be every bit as good.
I think you'll find that it'll be late in the game before one side cracks. Ken Sheldon and I were talking about it. There's a fair amount of emotion building out there, and they know, Ken, how important this match is.
And at quarter time, there really haven't been any changes made as they finished at the end of the first quarter. Both teams are really well matched up, man on man, all over the ground.
I think that's the way this entire game will be played. D. Smith to Tread Ray, the hurried kick forward. Carter on the left, goes around the corner. He's not brought it back anywhere near far enough. Just made a point, but it puts them in front. They're a point ahead, the Magpies, and we're a minute into the second term.
And the reason for that goal from the opening bounce, Port Adelaide did force it out of the centre square. They were able then to hold it in their forward line with great defensive work from their forwards.
The Redlegs from defence. Carter underneath that one, tried to crash through, took out Harvey too in the process. Macca gets a kick forward, through half forward row, he couldn't get there. Fiarchi did very well in the first term. Hands it out to Geneva, who chips it wide, and Carter runs onto it and completes the chest mark. There's a big fight on at half back. We might just keep you informed on what's going on back there. There's plenty of action. There's spot fires on the ground as Lees brings it back inboard. Bowman did very well to push Smith out of the contest. Cunningham, the loose ball, brings it grandstand side. Look at this, Reid now seems to be playing more as a centre-half forward than a full forward, Ken.
Now the tactic is clear that with Smart and Jarman back in the front line of attack, Reid, let me say, on the lesser leg speed of Roger Delaney, is prepared to run far and wide to get his kicks.
I think perhaps even a little more than that. It's Smart, Reid and Jarman who are working their way through half forward and full forward to try and give Reid a break. Bassett to Bowman. That was neat. Lockett was the second player there. No decision from the umpire was the soft decision in a way, because the tackle was high even though he tried to break it.
Well, I think in fairness, they've let the game flow all day. I don't think anyone really wants to see a lot of players. David Brown, 27.
Enjoying a birthday today. And celebrated it with a goal in that first turn. McIntosh. Harvey, who's got some leg speed, hasn't he? Breaks with it and then puts it within about 40 metres. But this time Delaney just slides in and takes the easiest of chest marks. Oh, the smother. was very effective from Smart, and that's the sort of stuff that can really lift a side, except that Delaney was just quick enough to get back and get a boot to it.
Terrific desperation from Smart. Delaney, number 7, really didn't give himself enough room. He should have got back harder and further to give himself more room to transfer play to the outer wing.
Boundary throw-in. Taken by Poole, who hasn't had quite the impact, the sudden impact that we've known him to have as yet in this game. Giorgio, Cunningham, very much the engine room, as the saying goes, for the Redlegs this year, along with McIntosh. Towards the forward pocket, taken high was Reid. It slips out the back. This is a tough one. Harvey got there first. Anthony Harvey gets his second.
And the reason for that goal was simple. Cunningham crumbed the ball from the pack. He knew Growden was sitting a handball back from that pack situation, flicked it backwards defensively. Growden put it into the forward line, and Harvey, with extra leg speed, was able to race off Fiarchi to put that goal through. But the structure of Norwood, the reason for that goal.
Great shots from Chris Lockyer, our man up on the top of the grandstand at the southern end of Football Park. I'm glad it's him, not me. The Redlegs by 5 points, going to ground with the ball. Appeared to be Growden.
You can really see their numbers, Port Adelaide to the crumb. That ball should have went over the boundary line, but it come back inboard, and then Harvey, with the extra leg speed and good body strength, was able to keep Fiarchi away.
And he started to meter behind George and ended up getting in front. Kelly got it from Davey off the outstep outside of the boot, and it's out of play. Port 3-3, Norwood 4-2, and looking at the breeze, it seems to be blowing more across the oval than in any direction favouring either side at this stage.
5 points of difference. The Redlegs enjoy that little break. And you probably heard on the effects microphone down there, Cunningham let out a squeal as if to say, "You're hanging on to me." Umpire saw it that way as well. The Cunningham kick travels pretty well, about 50, as David said, representing not a lot of wind out there in the face. Ginniver looks to have recovered okay. Rowe slides into it like a baseball. It does okay to Jarman. Round the body, and Reid should and does take it.
Ashley Reid, the advantage of playing in front. Jarman just kicked that ball to the spot, and Reid made the distance to take the chest mark sliding on his knees. He'll kick this from about his maximum distance, but I think he might be able to get it.
Miller's coming off, by the way, as Reid launches himself at it. Just drags it off the instep and through for one behind. Miller's going to be replaced by a smaller player, so they're obviously going to bring more leg speed. James Tyson.
And I think that's a good move. Miller hasn't had any influence on the game whatsoever. James Tyson, he's small, he is a goal kicker. Brian Lees has been well on top of Miller, so I think it's a good move.
Miller, no kicks, no marks, no handballs, no hit-outs. Has been blanketed by Lees at this stage. And Lees, on the other hand, has had 4 kicks, 3 handballs, and a mark. So he's doing well. Smart, claimed by Lees. Anderson shovels one forward. This is George Fiarchi. Hasn't he been a great stalwart of this club? Port Adelaide. Treadray, the new young gun, had it thumped away by Bassett, the emerging star. Now Kelly, the loose ball, he scooped on it, chips it forward. Oh, Smart. One bite, clean take. Now handballs off. This is Giorgio, and wider still to Reid. Reid's got it. Well, what great pressure.
It's the midfield dominance, particularly Cunningham, particularly Harvey, Giorgio. They brought Tyson on now to capitalise on their momentum. The midfielders of Norwood really are in full flight at the moment. You've seen a great target shepherd attempt by Andrew Jarman, and this fellow Reid is really leading hard and well.
Eastow on, Keating off as Reid with 1 goal, 1 against his name, pushes it wide. 1 goal, 2. I was about to say, they led by 6 points, and a goal there in these sort of conditions would have given them a two goal buffer.
Well, that really is letting the Port Adelaide team off the hook. A couple of opportunities for goal in only, well, the last minute. I have a great belief in football that if you're given the opportunity twice in a similar spot, in a similar time frame, you should not miss the second one. So a great let-off for Port Adelaide.
5 kicks from 5 marks to Ashley Reid. As Delaney brings it in, carried about 60 metres, was a good take off the spoil by Rowe, and the short pass is excellent to Reid again, mark number 6. Now it's a tough requirement from there because he is tucked deep in the pocket, and the breeze, as we see Keating getting some attention from former Red League Premiership player, Rick Neagle, a physiotherapist. Hitting the head of the square. Front spot was Tyson. I thought Sam Smart might have had a crack at that one. Growden, too tough to get through that heavy traffic as McIntosh comes in and makes Carter pay.
I tell you what was great there was the Fabian Francis tackle. Now just watch this. Growden comes in. Fabian wraps him up. Now that is a terrific feature. There's not too many 22-year-olds I know that tackle like that, kid.
Eyes only for the hips.
Bounce down or throw up at least just about 15 metres out from that goal down there, the Red League goal. It's under siege at the moment down there, by the way. Cunningham gets it out. This would be a beauty across the face of goals. Anderson's there with Dickey. Little test of the leg speed. A little test for Ando too because it's 2-on-1 out there. Harvey gets there and provides the support. Anderson did magnificently well. Just held it up long enough until the support came. Well done, Ando. Excellent.
And it's those little things, those little 1%ers, the tackles, the shepherds, the smothers, which Port Adelaide really have to bring into their game. They are being eclipsed here by the midfielders, the running brigade of Norwood at the moment. They really have to close them down.
Umpire Doddridge puts it in the air. The big fellows go at it. Mead now on the oval. East out there as well. Mead over the top of it. Holds in the area now. He's got to get it out, by the way. Oh, he's very lucky then. When you scoop it in, you tuck it in and somebody grabs you. That's a free.
Mead has come on to replace Treadray. Poole has now gone to the forward line as Mead takes up his position in first ruck for the Magpies.
Mead wins the tap. It falls to Bamford. He missed it. Carter and Davey hard at it. Well, it's not pretty at the moment, but this is just a testing time. Things have settled down. The nervous energy of the first quarter, Ken, is gone, and now the players are really starting to settle.
Well, the Norwood midfielders, their running brigade, their leg speed, the ball carriers, they really have erupted, and now Port Adelaide need to close them down through desperate acts such as the Francis and the Anderson tackles.
Rowe throws it out wide and has a look at Harvey. Harvey gives it back to McIntosh. McIntosh on the tackle. Rowe, and the boundary line is close. Mark Nailey, what's going on with the Norwood bench down there?
You've seen the big fella and Aaron Keating come off. He's pretty heavily bandaged underneath his jumpers. He's wearing those wetsuit pants underneath his shorts. But looks as though he's stretching his groin, so he could possibly just feeling up. Under these conditions, over a little bit heavier, he may be feeling it, but the game is still down here at ground level. It is played very tough and very aggressively. Young Davey from Norwood also carrying a nasty knock under his left eye, so there was blood coming out of him about 5 minutes ago. So I'm surprised the umpires haven't sent him off as yet.
Yeah, I think that's the one we got from last week that's opened up again, Mark, isn't it? We saw him get a very heavy knock last week against the Eagles. It seems to have opened up. We might just ask you to have a look at Miller and see if he's getting any treatment, because he really hasn't been in the action, Mark. We'll come back to you shortly. Davey hands it out to Jarman, who's now playing a midfield role. Can you correct me? Have a look at it. Giorgio rubbers one forward. Wilson missed it. Oh, Dickey, good tackle on Anderson. Ando still got away the handball, but it's a free kick, said the umpire, and the ball will come back. And Donald Dickey will take the kick at half back.
Well, the simplicity of that with the big fellow Miller going off, centre-half forward has become vacant. Jarman has gone up there, Tyson into the forward pocket. Jarman now roaming as a midfield centre-half forward player, which is tremendous move by Peter Rode.
Cunningham on the bottom of the pack with North East, and we'll have a bounce down. So it's 4-4 the Redlegs. Port Adelaide a 3-3. It's 7 points in that. Norwood have the break, and we're 11.5 minutes into the second term of the prelim final. The winner will tackle Central District, a raging favourite at the moment, by virtue of the fact they've marched in emphatically last week. Handed off to Wilson. Wilson at full flight. Hits it from about 55 metres and hits the post. Wow. Just a few centimetres make a lot of difference.
What a fantastic build-up, though, from Port Adelaide. They really have closed the Norwood runners down in the last few minutes, and that opportunity has gone missing, hitting the base of the post from a good distance on the left foot.
Wasn't Wilson terrific, though? He's been hit up the middle, right in the middle of the sternum just 15 or so minutes ago. Now he recovers to kick a hard-running shot at goal like that. Smith around the corner is out of play. It takes a lot of courage, Ken, for a kid like Wilson to just push through the pain barrier, because they stay with you really for a few days, don't they?
They certainly do. It's second tank of petrol stuff. You just have to dig deep, and you have to get in and do the job that is required. Play your part for the team win.
So Sam Smart's gone to centre-half forward, and that might just limit Ashley Reed's ability to roam around through half forward, by the way. And a fairly aggressive attack on Darryl Poole by Richard Kelly, whose game last week was sensational from halfback.
It was, wasn't it?
The Legs by 6 points.
His game the week before against Port wasn't too bad either. I think he had something like 23 possessions from a back pocket.
He's recovered very well from a couple of shocking knee injuries. Ginniver from the middle of the pack. Poole tries to bustle his way through. The Jarman tackle was excellent, though, and it forces it to the line.
Well, you couldn't pick a winner from here, could you? I mean, there's just no side that's emerging as a stronger than the other one or intimidating the other.
What are you, the master of the gross understatement?
Oh, no, I'm just saying it's...
13 and a half minutes gone, and you can't pick a winner. 6 points in it. No, fair enough. Far side, taken by Smart. Sorry, David. Halfback. He hits it towards centre half forward. McIntosh does pretty well, and so too does Benke.
You just see signs, though, Ken. You just see sides that perhaps aren't running on a straight line, like Norwood were accused of in the qualifying final. They're not doing that today.
No, they're very aggressive, very physical. Both teams are. It's a magnificent final so far.
McGuinness, long ball. Oh, Poole's got it. The big fellow's about 30 out. The angle's slight. We're 14 minutes into the second term, and they're trailing by 6 points.
The Port Adelaide have regained the momentum here, and this kick will need to be accurate.
24-year-old. He's kicked, 15 career goals. He doesn't kick a lot. He's in his 48th game, and he misses. That was an important kick.
Port Adelaide now must keep at it. They must keep persevering until they put the big ones on the board. 3 goals, 5. Couple of points in succession. Wilson, now Poole, and earlier on we've seen Norwood, when they had the momentum, kick points through the boot of Ashley Reid.
Dan Tokia played it to himself and then got it to half-back. Just gaining himself an extra 15 or 20 metres out of all that. Benke attacked the football, wasn't rewarded for it though, because Stephen Rowe pounced and did okay. Left leg, the torpedo punt carried pretty well, didn't it? Inside half forward, northeast with some time before Tyson gets there, that is, and James punches it out wide. Now there are 2 there, Reid and McIntosh. They probably didn't work it out as well as they could have to Cunningham, and Northeast did magnificently well. Handed off though. There's still a chance, Norwood. Reid, higher than it is long. Take that if you can, men. In fact, the umpire says you won't if you take it. Play on. Benke, Giorgio, a little sidestep. The tackle was good, but so too is the take by Cunningham, who snaps, but snaps very wide.
Well, that was a chain of errors, if you like. Northeast had the opportunity to clear the ball from defence, fumbled, then the handball from McIntosh to Cunningham was fumbled, and then the shot for goal eventually went astray. But Fiachi now just to settle things down.
Chips it to Carter at half-back. Went to flick it out. Got a good shepherd from Mead, by the way. Tyson was coming at him. Fabian was clean bowled, stood right in the right position, but couldn't control the wet piece of soap. Now hard at it again. His commitment's good.
So Mead's gone onto the ball, and you'd suspect from that with Poole going forward, they feel as though they're not getting enough grunt through half forward.
Well, Smith and Hodges were good late in the first quarter, but nothing much has been eventuating in this second quarter. But I think more through the dominance of the Norwood midfielders. Poole, however, up there, will make the most of his opportunities, as we've seen that very strong mark before.
Wilson around the body, Dan Tokia there, the boundary line beckons, Brown's there, so too is Poole. And it does go across the boundary line. Daryl Poole is at half forward. Nails, what else have you got for us down on the boundary?
I just watched it before with the young Miller. He had the tracksuit top over his head, sitting down, and I'm not quite sure whether he might be suffering from a slight head cold. He's not too happy with his performance so far in this game.
No, I suppose you come off without a possession, you'd be bitterly disappointed. He really wanted to fire up today, I suppose. These AFL chances, Ken might have rested on a good performance today, and if they make the grand final next week even.
Well, it might be a good move by Peter Road to sit him down, have a yak to him and put him in the ruck for 5 or 10 minutes just to let him know.
And get him into the game. Fair enough. 19 minutes gone. 5-point ball game. Port at 23, Norwood at 28. There's a free. And Poole picks it up. The umpire said was an infringement too high. Poole was taken high and he gets the free. And he'll kick from 45 metres out. He might even have to kick from 50. The breeze is going from left to right, so he'll need to take the left post, but with a heavy ball, it won't deviate a great deal, so he puts it to the point of the square instead. Chips it up, big fly required, nobody brings it down. Loose ball to Anderson, snaps for goal. It's a point. They're back within 4 points.
Such an enthralling contest this. Both teams are really giving it all. The man-on-man matchups all over the ground are fantastic. The goal face pressure is what's letting the spectacle of the game down. The one that can put the goals through.
Picked off by Borlase, snaps at it, and I think he's missed it again. In fact, he's going to get a free kick.
He's been given another opportunity.
Well, he's a bit lucky, but having said that, I was thinking that Norwood were lucky because they'd really had a lot of opportunities, but they'd missed out.
Now, I'm not sure why that ball would be called back.
Just looked to be nothing in it, did there? So maybe a little gift for game 200 for Daisy Borlase. This time, he makes no mistake about it whatsoever.
And isn't that sign of a great player when he's missed the first opportunity, but then upon giving him a reprieve, he goes back, settles himself, uses every bit of experience that he's accumulated in his 200 games for the Magpies and put it straight through the high diddle-diddle for a vital goal for the Magpies.
Well, let's just see what it is. Now, he gets the kick away, nobody cleans him up.
What can that possibly be for?
Perhaps there was an infringement off the play, which we couldn't see on the television.
Fair call, Ken. OK, the Magpies 2 points in front. Wilson rubbles one into space. Bamford just to fly it out wide. Growden gets a kick away. Bamford got him, cleaned him up. And Anderson, who's starting to enjoy this match, settling down, the pace is off. He pushes it wide. Lees, still tough out there. Another little chip over the top. Carter and McGuinness. Carter got there first. McGuinness provides a shepherd, gives support. Could have handballed off, but Carter drills it in long. Hodges was the target. Daniels, claimed by Poole and across the line. Hasn't he done well?
Wasn't it just sensational play by Darryl Poole? And the Magpies are really running hard. We've seen Anderson take that mark at half-back, and the Magpies, such as Darren Smith and McGuinness, really ran forward to half-forward. Stephen Carter received the footy. He ran 50 metres for that football.
Well, between these two great sides, in all games of preliminary finals going way back, Port Adelaide have won 13 and lost 13. Norwood have won 12 and lost 12, so it's fairly square with the ledger, isn't it?
Tells you something about finals. They're always 50-50 ball games.
Eastor gets it from an errant kick from Wilson. Now the long leg goes towards centre wing. At the back, it's smart. It's belted forward. Not particularly effectively, though, by Mead. He just gets a little push on the ball. Wilson couldn't have picked out Macca any better if he tried. McIntosh, quick kick, goes across the boundary line. I was just thinking what a great game Brian Lees has played. We said about the fact that it stopped Jason Miller to no possessions whatsoever. And now that the game's starting to loosen up, he's going for a bit of a run himself and finding possessions. 9 possessions so far for Lees.
Cunningham roving well towards centre half forward. Who's under this one? Rowan Fiarchi. George just punches it down. Rowe takes front position, scoops it up, feeds it off to Smart, needs support. Oh, Northeast did very well. The handball was on for Jarman. Play on, said the umpire. Cunningham toe pokes it to Tyson. Around the corner, he started on the bench. He's missed. It's a point. Well, what a good opportunity.
They're both missing some opportunities, aren't they?
The goal face pressure is letting the spectator of the game down. It's got everything else, this game of footy, in these conditions. You can see just forcing the ball through. Unlucky Jarman, perhaps not to get a free kick, but great desperation by Northeast. Just pushed through. Tyson really should have eaten that. His sixth sense, his goal sense, which he's renowned for, should have enabled him to know where those goals were.
Well, we're into time on of the second term of the prelim final. There's a great mark taken out there by Eastor. In fact, it wasn't touched. Play on. Ginniver emerged with it. That's just the spot where he took that head knock in the first term. Brown is flanked on that starboard side there by Lees. He couldn't take it. Neither can Smart, and the boundary line wins out. So far side of the ground, 1 point the difference. Port Adelaide have the edge, and you can see there that man is not trying to play the ghost. It's Jason Miller, as Mark Narley said, perhaps with a head cold.
Gee, I think you're being kind, fellas. So I think it's just a quiet moment as Bamford towards McGuinness. McGuinness held. Play on, said the umpire. Kelly pushes Borlase off the contest. Cunningham short, Poole steals it away. The big man's playing like a rover, isn't he? Around the corner to Ginniver. Needs support. Oh, D'Antonio came at him. He tried to get the handball away. He was caught in two minds. Now he recovers, pushes it out. McGuinness is there. Kelly's over the top of it, and Anderson claims him. 22.5 minutes into the second term.
Ken, you have to ask the question that Jason Miller, we'll get another look at him here. If, in fact, there's not a medical condition for that, that's not very clever, I wouldn't have imagined. Shouldn't he be watching the game and thinking about what's happening?
Oh, well, there's obviously a reason why he's doing it.
But you just can't think of one.
I've never seen that done before, to tell you the truth.
That's rare TV footage.
Brown around the corner. Daniels. There's a good shepherd by McGuinness off the ball too. Daniels is playing well on Hodges. What's the big fella got? 1 goal. So Daniels doing another good job. He did terrifically well in the qualifying. D. Smith forward. Daniels again over the top. McGuinness can run onto it. Dantokia chips it up. Sam Smart claimed, goes to ground. Fabian Francis came in, good pressure. Now Hodges, handballs forward, and the umpire said he's going to let it play, and Daniels chips it out to ground on a half-back flank.
As the sun peeks its way through, Groudon had to wait and wait and wait for that ball. The thundering hooves were coming at him from a number of Port players, but he stood his ground. Now, he's a little undecided because there's nothing really that presents itself that's on its own, except for Mead. You see, Jarman was giving away so much height. Tyson's there, so too Lees. And a free kick going to Brian Benke, just as Norwood were about to escape. Paul Northeast appealing there for a 50-metre, but you're not going to get it from that, Paul. 1 point the difference. The Maggies have just that little edge. Benke to half forward, slipped behind Bassett. Well done by Poole. Do you think he hasn't lifted his game at the moment? Francis now at the head of the square. Here's McGuinness. If it sits, he's okay, Phillip. Tries to go from the ground. And I'm not sure it was the right decision.
Well, you make the decision in the instant of the moment. Clearly there, if he could have it again, I'm sure he'd do something different.
It's been dangerous around goals, hasn't he? 1 goal 5 against Norwood in the qualifying final. If he'd just been online that day, he really could have just belted the game apart. 2 goals 3 last week against Central. He kicked 1 spectacular running goal. Oh, Poole over the top. What athleticism.
Well, he didn't start at 1,000,000 miles an hour, I didn't think. He didn't jump into Keating in the way that we expected, but his last 20 minutes have been fabulous.
Since shifted to the forward line, he has had a big impact. He really has capitalised on the regained momentum of the Port Adelaide midfield.
Bowman. Wide, Dickey, 2 hands to it. Anderson's first to recover. Can he flick it out? Gets over the top of it, takes control. Bamford inboard, Ginniver's good. Fabian Francis tried to flick it forward, but there was no one running. Bassett was there. Fabian, look at the important touch. Dumped it down, Dantokia over the top of it, and it's a free.
That is sensational play by Fabian Francis, realising that he was red hot in amongst a number of redlegs, flicked the ball further to advantage, and then laid the tackle directly at the hips, and then followed up McGuinness with another magnificent tackle for Port Adelaide.
Here's a chance though, Ginniver. Oh, the diminutive little skipper's nailed one from about 35 metres out. With his 8th kick, he gets another one. 26 minutes gone. Port Adelaide get a little break.
And that is a direct result of the effort, the forward line pressure from Fabian Francis and McGuinness. They were able to lay tackles on, hold the play up, force the ball up situation, and then rely on the likes of Poole to Ginniver. What great experience for the Ginniver goal.
Oh, great work, Francis and McGuinness. Off the ground. Borlase goes hard at it. We've got an 8-point ball game. We're 26 and a half minutes into the second term, and going into half-time, Port Adelaide will take this break, you would suggest. Well, the Redlegs, can they get one? There is just a few seconds left in this game. East out, high over the top. Loose ball falls. Harvey couldn't get it out. Now he recovers, reclaims it, but Anderson bottles it up and forces yet another bounce.
And how often do we see Port Adelaide kick goals in the time zone, in the time-on period of any quarter? We've seen David Brown kick one at the 27-minute mark of the first quarter, and now Tim Ginniver kick one at the 26-minute mark of this quarter.
Well, there's Brownie again getting it on. Poole on Bassett was good work. Bamford forward. They're just relentlessly pushing it forward. Dantokia came. Hodges came at him. The handball goes wide. Wilson fights hard just inside the line. Keeps it there, by the way. Daniels, McGuinness off the ground. D. Smith cleaned up by Bowman. Bamford just in the line, and this is really leading up.
Well, it's what it's all about. It's a preliminary final. Take no prisoners, winner takes all here, and this target shepherding, this physical approach is very much a needed part of the game.
Nails, the physical impact there was great, but you get the feeling that Poole and Ginniver are the catalysts at the moment. What's the voice like down there? Good question, but no answer. So I'll ask him again in just a moment when the crowd noise dies down, as McIntosh as always, the last one to get up. Nails, if you can hear us down there, what is the situation with terms of the voice? We reckon that Ginniver's the man who started a lot of this play.
Well, Ginniver to me looks like he's carrying something, whether it's a shoulder or that knock in that first quarter. But I tell you what, these Port Adelaide supporters are getting excited. Most of the Norwood supporters are sitting up under the grandstands, not declaring, not coming down to get wet. But the Port Adelaide supporters, they're out in the open. They're loving this.
Timmy Ginniver did get a heavy knock early in the first term. Seems to be recovering now. Kelly just giving him a bit of extra attention. Off the ball, Eastow thumps it down. And look at this. Players just helter-skelter in over the top. And there's Timmy. Yeah, he's holding that shoulder too. Well, he's just going to keep coming, Timmy. Great courage. Eastow over the top. Kelly, Growden. Ball ace. Holds the ball in the area. Well, they're just going to make sure they shut it down, aren't they, Port Adelaide? And go into half-time with a lead.
We've watched them many times over the years. Just once they get to the front in the time-on zone, they just close it down.
So it's an 8-point ball game in favour of Port Adelaide as we go into half-time.
Well, Port Adelaide, just with less use of the handball in these difficult conditions, I think have been more direct. They've been relentless. They've shown a great deal of courage, as have the Norwood side. But Norwood, in the opening part of this quarter, weren't able to capitalise on their prolific disposal. Their midfielders were dominant at that stage, but they weren't able to kick the goals. Port Adelaide then rescued the ascendancy and put Poole up into the forward line, and it started to go from there. And what a great goal by Ginniver, their captain, in the dying parts of the quarter.
So a great first half of football in the prelim final. The Port Adelaide banner read, "Come on, Port, finish what you started." And at half-time in this game, they are doing pretty well. They're 8 points up. We'll be right back with the third term. So Port Adelaide doing just a little better in terms of the kicks and marks. The handballs, as always, Norwood, you'd expect them to be in front. But the key stat at the bottom there is that Norwood have at least twice as many in terms of the hit-outs. So Aaron Keating and Eastow are doing well. Harvey has a couple of goals, Reid and Smart one each. And a long list of singles on the right side sees Port Adelaide in front at half-time by 8 points. And Mark Nayley, symptomatic of that quarter was the fact that Port Adelaide crashed in harder, they worked harder, and this little excerpt is just an idea of that.
They want to play in another grand final, Steve, and they just sense it. That Norwood, if they just bash and crash a little bit harder than what Norwood do. Norwood are very good at it, but Port realised that they had to be better. So
the first toss-up of this third quarter, David Mackay, we know that Jason Miller has not reappeared for Norwood with the flu.
We believe, yes, the flu has got him. Northeast on Jarman, Fiarchi off the ground. The Redlegs trail by 8 points. Now, they lost last year's preliminary final to Central District. And you just suspect that with that hurt in their belly, they'll be digging in this third term, and Port Adelaide would be the hardest opponent to wrench a win from. Stephen Rowe, former Western Australia player, a few years with the Crows, did very well. Now back to finish his career with the Redlegs. At 30, he's one of the grand old men.
And he realises it's impossible to carry the distance kicking into this headwind, so he just put it to the front of the square.
Yeah, that's the right position for it to go. Delaney fists it forward. Jarman on the left, around the corner. It's coming around. Jars likes it, but the umpire doesn't. It's a point. That was an important kick.
It was terrific football from Norwood. They won first blood out of the midfield from the bounce. Took it straight into their forward line. Rowe used the footy well to the front of the square, and Jarman was ever, as always, at the front of the pack.
Now that's Jar's first score for today, Triggy. It's a point.
Yes, he lined up at full forward, and he's had a few possessions, 7 of them, but hasn't really had an impact on the goals. Good mark taken back there by Eastow. Brian Lee's just slowing him down. Bowman provides the option at the back. Instead of going with the left, he just came back inboard and used the right leg, and it got a bit of carry as well, about 50. Benke, northeast, heads southwest really, and comes towards half forward. Well done by Smith to Brown. The runner's okay. Hodges is on the lead. The kick just sits up and waits for him. It's not a bad leg, but Daniels was there, did okay. Oh, what happened to Jerry Dantokia? Now, he either missed that or deliberately left it behind. And if he did that, it was an excellent piece of touch. Carter smothered it. but again, Dan Tokia handballs to Cunningham. Still a bit slippery out there. Cunningham bounces it or touches it on the ground. Sweeps a handball across. It's just a little too far, but it still sits for Growden. His kick looks for Reid. Benke sits back. The option was there with Mead, but Benke goes on the leg instead across the face of goals.
Clears it out to half-back. It's a foot race. Dickey's there. Davey goes after it. Davey slides into it. Northeast claims in. Can he get it out? No, it's holding the ball to the umpire. He had the duty, didn't he? Had to get it out.
He's magnificent in tight, is Paul Northeast. A real defender of the old-fashioned mould. And you can just see here, he just wraps up Davies and doesn't allow the ball out.
The Northeast kick finds George Fiarchi. George has already got 6 premiership medallions to hang in his cupboard. Dan Tokia keeps the ball in front of him. Forward Cunningham, best on ground so far. Oh, well done, Kelly. One-handed, scooped it in and then got away the handball. Stripped away. Look at Fabian Francisco. He's been terrific today. And the kick was pretty good. Just fell short of Hodges. And Daniels mops up beautifully. Far side, Harvey, former Frankston player and St Kilda player. Now with the Redlegs. McIntosh. Well, he conceded a bit of ground. I don't think the kick was intended to go that wide. What do you reckon, Ken?
No, it wasn't, but Davey, the recipient, he will use the ball well, has good foot disposal.
Goes through half forward well. He let you down then, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, Benke over the top. Now Giorgio, very quiet game for him. McIntosh to Dickey is good play. Oh, there was a loose man wide. Harvey running forward, but the kick is good. It's Harvey deep in the pocket now. Harvey's over the top. Reid's got it. Kept on looking at Harvey. He was clear and clear and clear, and finally he gets it. George just might give him a little 50-metre penalty. Doesn't matter from there, I suppose, says George. Will make him earn the goal.
It was a great shepherd by Jarman. You could see just to the right of screen, he prevented Fiarchi and Delaney from getting to that contest, allowed Reid to take the mark. Reid summed it up and then used a good kick to Harvey, who's been given a penalty.
So Anthony Harvey gets his 30, brings them back within a point. They're 5-6 trailing Port for a 5-7, the action on ABC Sport.
A good transfer of play across half-back from McIntosh to Todd Davey. Wasn't so pretty, but it was effective in the end. The ball went into the forward line. Benke wasn't able to trap it at a half volley, and consequently the Norwood side were able to keep pushing it forward, ending in a good mark to Reid, who then put it to the front of the square again, the second time for the quarter, this time resulting in a goal to the Redlegs.
Well, the preliminary final crowd is a buzz at the moment because Port Adelaide have the most slender of margins at the moment, just the 1 point, but Norwood are on a roll. Giorgio gets it at half forward, thumps it down there, gives Smart a chance on one hand, 2 grabs, not paid. Oh, wow, a little unlucky perhaps, but the ball is cleared from Port Adelaide. There's been a pen or two thrown down here. Well done by Growden, thumps it back up there again, pumps it up towards the square, this time Smart. Can't take it, Carter clears it, and Ginniver, who does not look 100% fit to me, clears it across the top and gives Bamford a chance on centre wing. He's going to be one-on-one with Davey, takes it and kicks poorly. Kicks it straight into the arms of Lockie Bowman.
We felt the pressure of Davey running him down. Might just ask you, Ken, you're not happy about that mark to Smart at the other end?
Well, I just think in these conditions he did control it enough to be paid, but however, the umpire's a lot closer than us.
Mead inboard Macca, that's beautiful. That is unbelievable. Not a lot of players can do that in there, ever. He just did it easy, didn't he? Cunningham around the corner, corralled by Borlase like a sheepdog, just running towards the boundary line. East out, big mark, big man, big game.
Well, they've lifted Norwood. They crunched it in the first quarter, and they've got that same feel about them at the moment.
So the East out kick, a high one, deep in the pocket. Smart, was there a push? Yep, said the umpire. Well, he slid into it, really. It wasn't so much of a push, but even accidents count in football.
Brian Benke giving away a lot of height on the much taller Smart.
Keating takes a good mark, just sitting that kick behind to Bowman. The run on the overlap. Good option, Lockie, because Cunningham and McIntosh were going to be covered. It carries and it goes offline. Well, wouldn't you know it? Just as it was at quarter time, and a couple of times through the second quarter, the scores are tied away. Nearly 7 minutes gone.
And as in the first quarter and the second, Norwood really have come out of the blocks. They're on ball brigade, they're winning it well out of the middle and they're using it. Bowman again is good at centre half back, and McIntosh is featuring in everything.
Northeast at centre half back, took the kick out beautifully. He's playing a pretty fair game too. Kick number 4 for him, but it's the blanketing work he's done on Jarman that's been the highlight. Bowman thumps it down. D. Smith can't quite get into this game. Looks for support. Handballs at White. Just threw it out in hope in the finish. Dantokia runs on, gives it off to Harvey, flanking him wide on the outer wing. 2 touches to the ground. Carter closes, but the kick gets away and it goes through half forward. Smart providing a contest that Miller couldn't in the first half. Goes to ground. Now Wilson. Look at the young gun. So cool. Just fends it out to northeast. And the Port Adelaide defence stand up pretty firm again.
Right into the middle of Football Park. Harvey, who is emerging as a match winner with his 3 goals and 16 possessions. Kelly, the half forward. Good take by Stephen Rowe. Not quite enough pressure from Carter. The short kick from Stephen finds Reid. Well, they're on a roll, aren't they? 5-7 apiece. 8 minutes gone in this third term. He goes forwards the head of the square. Just the spot to be. Who can take the big mark down there? Smart threatens, but the big fist finds the boundary line.
The Norwood midfielders are covering so much area. We've seen McIntosh, we've seen Harvey all link across half-back to cut off any Port Adelaide forward attack. And they've, on the rebound, then put the ball wide to the flanks and then brought it back to the front and square of the goal square. Their pattern and their work rate is exceptional in the start of this third quarter.
Harvey on screen, taken at number 3 in the mid-season draft of 1993 by St Kilda. In his second season with the Redlegs, I would just wonder whether he mightn't be taken by Port Power as they form an AFL squad. They'll certainly take that bloke, Fabian Francis. Out now to Kelly. McIntosh. Dantokia under plenty of pressure. Still got the kick away. Lee's pushing and shoving. Rowe crashed through. Dispatches it to Kelly. Got one high. Play on, said the umpire. Kick was smothered. Now Bamford. Can they build from defence? He pushes it wide to the runner who's Lees. Lees is 2-on-1 with Reid and across the line. Big man did well.
He really did do well there, David, understanding that he was outnumbered 2-1, used the safety of the boundary. It's deliberate, but as camouflage as could be.
Oh, this is great. The scores are even. The stakes are so high. An opportunity to play Central District next week in the big one. The grand final is on offer here. And it's right in the balance, halfway, perhaps nearly halfway through this third term. Here's Growden in business with Francis. Just a little bit of the extra toe there by Francis. Got him there in the nick of time. Picks it up. And the handball was spot on. To Carter from inside the square. That drop punt looked okay, but it wasn't effective. And Keating for the second time in this match at this end drops one. Gives it to Smith. Now from the ground. Oh, it was crunched was Brown. I think it's hurt him as well. Swooping and doing very well was Bamford, but he's missed. 1 point the difference.
Keating failed to capitalise on, well, the give me mark there, right in the slot, last line of defence. Smith not able to get a clean handball away. Great desperation from all players, and then a very ordinary finish in the end by the youngster Bamford. Should have been a goal, should have understood that he had plenty of time.
It's pretty easy from up here though, Ken, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Just can't realise the pressure they're under down there. The physical and mental pressure is obscene. Poole, big man's emerging. Been a great contest, and the conditions haven't suited him today at all.
So you like them, Senator? I reckon it's great.
Oh, look at this, Fabian Francis. Marks it. 8 kicks, 3 marks, 2 handballs, but it hasn't really underlined his work ethic today. It's been fantastic. Probably half a dozen tackles in amongst those stats too, which have all been important ones, and a few little flick-ons. Oh, great contest, physical contest. Kelly and Poole. Now Poole's won a free kick. That's been reversed now. So there's the free kick. Tackle too high there, that's fair enough. Now that we see it in replay. And then he gets clobbered. There, that's too high, that's a free. And when he gets up, Hodges, I think, just pulls him off. Oh, I think he staged the fraction. And the free kick's reversed.
Well, that is a joke. Unquestionable.
Well, nobody said you can't act for a free kick.
It's got him an award because it's got him the football. And the ball's spoiled across the line on the far side. Just 1 point in it. The Maggies with a little break. Listen to the crowd. They're starting to get really involved in this. As you'd imagine, these two sides have had some magnificent stoushes over the years. And again today, they're turning on a beauty. Borlase took it off hands and kicked around the body with the left leg with just his 4th kick for the day. Well smothered from Brown. Handballs it inside. Well taken also by Francis. Oh, he's a little stamp of class, this lad, as he kicks it within about 40 metres. But this time, Keating gets back and just wraps it up. No mistake.
That's better, and that'll give the big man confidence. He's mucked a few up back there, but that will give him a great deal of confidence. Strong hands.
12.5 minutes into the third quarter. It's a 1-point ball game. Port Adelaide have the lead. So we go down to the boundary line with Mark Nayley. Mark, what have you got for us?
I just want to let you know, fellas, the bench has only been used 5 times for the whole afternoon, and that has to be a record, I think, to see these two coaches. They're just leaving their players out there. The benches are hardly being used here this afternoon.
Not a bad stat, that, is it?
Well, it's an interesting stat, given there's so much quality on the bench. Still, Rowan Smith is sitting there for Port Adelaide, and they've used Mead and Stephen Carter from there. So, yeah, it's not being used much.
But both teams really have only used it, like they've had 2 non-performing forwards, Norwood with Miller and Port with Treadray. They've replaced those 2 players with Smalls. And that's about the extent of it.
So Daniels takes it from the quick kick. And Growden goes to the far side. Will he keep it in play? He's had a magnificent duel with Francis out there. Dan Tokia. And here is the growler and a great smother by Carter.
Now, they dropped him a couple of weeks ago, and we thought there might have been something more to it, but his form on a half-forward flank hasn't been fantastic, so they thought a week in the reserves might freshen him up, and certainly Kenny looks a lot more savage at the ball today.
I think he's had a big impact since coming off interchange to replace Fegert.
Quick kick. Again, Norwood's structure is okay. Sitting back was Daniels.
Looming is one of their best, this fellow.
So I agree with you, playing at full-back and spending some time out of centre-half-back as Hodges rotates in the Port Adelaide forward line.
Now, the option with the hand would have been Bassett, but Daniels took so long. He had Bowman, and Bowman shakes his head in disgust because he's gone for running too far. Paul gets the free kick, kicks it forward and butchers it as well. Kelly's there, takes it, pressure's still on, it's hot, he's gone for a throw. Well, hard to tell, but I think we'll watch it again. From behind the goals, it's Dan Tokia. And they're saying that little slip out was the throw.
I think it was clearly there. Always difficult, the half volley up off the ground.
Scott Hodges has 1 goal. Port Adelaide have a 1-point break. And those little things in the pressure zone there, right at the face of the goal square, can mean the difference between a win and a loss. Watch for Hodges, doesn't miss many from there. Port fans go up. Hodges is celebrating, he gets his 2nd.
Well, I guess the culmination of a number of errors from both sides. But clearly that, well, I suppose it's red hot, but it was clearly there in my view. And Hodges just capitalises ever so well.
He doesn't miss too many of those, does he? We've got a 7-point match. 15 minutes into the third term. The Magpies have the lead. Keating wins the tap. It falls down. Cunningham front position. Off the ground went Harvey. Fiacci intercepts. Now Dickey. Harvey handballs out. The runners are on. Going to ground was Rowe. Now Harvey. Wilson. Clever work, Ginnivan. The ball A's. Gee, there's some quick hands in there, and that ball is like a cake of soap, so the skills are good. Oh, Poole was clever. Ginnivan, quick kick. Ball A's running on. Doesn't he cover some ground, this fellow? Daniels bustles him out of it. Ginnivan, desperation. Carter, solid. Now Davey, well, that's just as much of a throw as the other one. Wilson, Ginnivan. There is some pressure out there. This is great pressure. Brown dives on top of it, claimed high, goes to ground, and there'll be a bounce. And my recollection, fellas, it was David Brown who broke a leg in last year's finals, didn't he? And missed the big one. So wouldn't he be eager? Oh, he worked hard for that free. Wouldn't he be eager to get into a grand final and play next week?
It's a pretty sloppy attack by Eastor, unlucky not to give it away. Norwood have got a free kick. Poole and Bowman have been at it for a while now. Just a bit of pushing and shoving. 7 points the difference. 44 for Port and 37 for Norwood. Davey, the ex-Eagle, comes towards grandstand side. Brian Lees gets a fist to it and it goes to the line. And again, no free kick. We've played 16.5 minutes of this third term. And while Norwood for the first 10 or 12 minutes did all the attacking, now Port Adelaide have wrested the initiative back.
And this really is the crunch time of this final. The next 10 minutes may well determine the eventual winner, who can get on top at this period of the game.
And the players like McIntosh will know that. He's just, you can see him working harder, talking harder. and trying to lift his side.
Well, Norwood have opened so well in each of the first 3 quarters. They've done it again in this third quarter, but Port have responded. Norwood need now to keep the ascendancy.
Well, I think it's anyone's game still. Right over the top, Anderson. Ball A's, hurries one forward. Harvey stayed on the line, pushes the ball wide. Keating and Wilson. Now, Wilson was the player, Ken, who got cleaned up right up the middle in the first term, but he really has worked hard over the ball. Well,
so characteristic of the Port Adelaide ethos. He really did cop one, but he's just continued to push on. Great courage.
Keating down, Geneva forward, spirals one. McGuinness works under it. At the back, Bassett, who really is impressed today. High quality player, can play pretty tall. 192 centimetres, only 19. Well, it's come off to Daniels.
Heart in the mouth sort of stuff, though, wasn't it? They've taken a few risks back there, Norwood.
Yes, well, I think that's the nature of the game today. Only the side that risks it all will win it. Anderson from half-back, and he uses his pace. Well, yes, you could say that today. But the kick sits on Bassett's head.
He's been very calm and calculated back there. Nathan Bassett has done well. To Bowman and Harvey, who's blitzing now through the midfield for them. He kicks it to Groudon on the far side, who structurally plays his wing beautifully. He takes it just inside the boundary line. The option's over the top if he wants it on the handball. Finally, it took an eternity, but in the end, did get it across to Cunningham. Now Cunningham, 70 metres out, hits the head of the square. He stores up. They've got plenty of height, Norwood, but Port Adelaide work it out. Anderson, the tackle was put on, but Ando still gets the kick to the middle, and here's Keating. Well, what is interesting about Norwood is they've got Keating out there, Smart, Eastor, Bar Miller. They've got all their tools out there.
And that's poor play from both Poole and Hodges. One of those players playing across half forward should have come up and made a 1-on-2 contest with Keating.
Daniels provided the run, but again it's been picked off by Darren Mead. So 7 points remaining is the difference. Port Adelaide with the break.
Brown over the top. Bamford, Cunningham, good pressure, body on body. Harvey across the line. A good crowd here, enjoying this match. And thumbs up to the quality of the game. Preliminary finals, there they are head-to-head. Norwood have won 6, Port have won 1. But remember, Norwood have won the last 6. Not that that's going to matter today in any iota of form. Groudon dispatches a kick at the back. Carter mops up. Pressure comes from Jarman just inside the line. Wilson got Jarman and just run over him like a truck.
The physicality, it's been enormous. The target shepherds, the preparedness of the players to run so hard at the football, so hard at the man.
So Jarman, alias Mick Jagger, really needs to get in amongst it a bit more today. There's Jar. Maybe he's thinking about his pop stardom. Belted forward. Poole got it from Smith. Poole continues to work hard, and Keating's working hard on him. Cunningham gets it out. Bassett. Groudon was in the way temporarily. Well done by McIntosh. Held onto it and then got the kick. It's a drop punt type kick, and it goes within about 30 metres of the goal. Norwood players thought that the player down there was held, but Delaney did it very well, and he's cleaned up with Benke to Lees, to Northeast, who smashes it forward and gets a bit of carry out of it as well, by the way, about 30 metres worth.
And Ken, I was going to ask you, as Northeast dumps that out, was there a holding free kick here? Crowd called for it.
Well, it was questionable. I think it was good umpiring to allow it to continue.
I was going to ask you actually about Andrew Jarman appearing on the footy show on Thursday night as Mick Jagger, and what would that do to his preparation for a Sunday game? You were the coach, would you have been happy?
Bottom line answer, no. Unquestionable.
It's a judgment call, that, isn't it?
I don't think there's any judgment at all. I think it should be tolerated. It's just not on, and it needs to be... Now he's got to respond now. I think Andrew Jarman, the game is really in the balance.
On balance, you'd say no problem if you weren't involved in a final on the Sunday. Eastor. Geneva. Look at him working away in there, the little skipper. We should call him Mr. Geneva. He's that good, really. Well done by Cunningham, who screams away with the ball to Smart. And again, it's slippery, and Benke's allowed just to clean it up at the back. We're into time on, and still Port Adelaide have that little break of 7 points. It was 8 points at half-time. And despite Norwood's surge in the first part of this quarter, Port Adelaide have hung on. It's going to be all set for a great last term. Anderson, tackled on the ground. Carter would be looking to prove a point, of course, after having been dropped last week. Kicks it within a few centimetres of the boundary line, and Borlase goes across.
His game last week was fantastic, wasn't it, Darryl Borlase? He got 20 kicks, 2 handballs last week. He's playing his 200th game, of course, today. and he's been pretty reasonable around the ball. 6 kicks, 3 handballs. Nothing like the impact he had last week when we doubted whether he could play at all, in fact, after being concussed the week before. Harvey to Reid. Reid playing a good game. 11 kicks, 10 handballs. 23 as Harvey goes deep to Jarman. Jars has got it. This is an important kick, and this is what they pay him for, the finished product.
And what about Harvey? Do you think he's getting some touches through there? 12 and 9, he's playing beautifully.
Well, Harvey clearly the best player on the park in this third quarter, the premiership quarter. And now we see Andrew Jarman with a great opportunity to put his side right back in the game.
He got 4 last week against the Eagles. He's got 1 point today. One of the most important kicks for the Norwood Football Club, and Jars delivers. He delivers the big ones. He loves the crowd. He loves the big occasion. And that one, right through the middle, brings them back within a point.
And you can see here Delaney pushing back. Just couldn't quite reach it. Jarman in front and really did do well. And that is a fantastic goal.
Well, besides the first 2 minutes of the game, there hasn't been an ability by Norwood to be able to get 2 goals in succession. I suspect if they can do it, that they'll really rocket into the last term and give themselves a great break at it. Bassett. I can't imagine for a moment that Port Adelaide would let that happen easily, though, as Carter finds the line far side. 23.5 minutes gone. Just the 1 point in it. Port Adelaide with the break.
Either side would be a worthy contender for the grand final on today's showing. Fortunately, only one's going to go through.
It's been symptomatic of the year, hasn't it, though, David, that we've had these top 3 sides, Central, Norwood and Port, who have clashed all year. And Mark Nailey, they are the 3 deserving sides.
They definitely are, Stephen. Norwood about to make the first change for the quarter. It's the 23, nearly the 24-minute mark of this third quarter. Ground's about to come off, and for this first run for the afternoon is young Clements.
Nails just looking for a bit of extra leg speed, you think, now that the game's starting to find some tired legs?
I was about to make a comment. I reckon the last quarter, both benches haven't used their players. I reckon they'll be waiting for the last quarter, bring on a few fresh legs, because there are. The players that have been sitting here, they have got fresh legs. It will be an exciting last quarter of football.
Yes, it'll be a real stretch of courage, and one side will dig in, or both sides will dig in for that final term. We're setting it up pretty well. 1 point the margin at the 24.5-minute mark of the third term. They say if you win the third quarter, you win the match. Well, it's a dead heat, this one. Macca at the back, drills it long and low. Jars is sitting underneath it. Northeast there in desperate defensive action. Thumps it away. Binky touches at the ground, drills it short. Lees playing a pretty fine game. Binky's had 12 and 4. Lees has had 7 kicks, 4 marks and 4 handballs. Dickey needed to lunge at that. Keating tries to get through. Handballs it forward. Now thumps it to Jarman. Inboard support comes from Giorgio. It's been a quiet day for Giorgio as he goes long, and it's smart. He's got it. Well, Ken Sheldon thought he had one not played early in this term. Now, at the 25.5-minute mark, he marks 20 metres out. The angle's tight, and that height is posing a problem.
That is, and the height of Keating is also creating a problem for Port Adelaide. Keating is sitting a kick behind the play as a ruckman, number 18 for Norwood, playing a very, very handy game in this third quarter. And you can see them able to link well through. Giorgio was able to put that pass onto the leading Smart.
Giorgio off, Clements on, Smart has 1, and it's off to the right. It's going to fall short. Eastow, Lees thumps it across the line. So still we've got a 1 point ball game. Giorgio, Stephen, 5 kicks, 2 handballs.
Been very up and down over the last few weeks, hasn't he? Got criticised in the qualifier. Bounced back last week in the first semi, and very quiet today. David Brown wheels around on the familiar left leg and into no one in particular, but found in the end Darren Smith. The Smith torpedo punt from 1 step was outstanding, and Poole presented okay at half forward. Now big Darryl Poole is a long, long way from goal. He hits it to within about 45 or 50. Another big pack of players and a dead ball.
Little trivia. Oh, siren sounds. It's a 1 point ball game, Ken. And you've got to suggest that at this stage, both teams are on even terms.
They certainly are, but the pattern of play did actually change in that quarter. Norwood have started out of the blocks so well in each of the 3 quarters, but they were able to finish in this, the third quarter, with the last goal of the period. Port lifted their rating through the midfield. They hit the front and they still hold a 1-point advantage. But significantly, it was Norwood who finished off the quarter. If they can open the first part of this last quarter, then we've got one again. The greatness of this ball game will continue.
Oh, it certainly is a great game as Kelly comes off. Big crowd enjoying it. The action on ABC Sport at three-quarter time of the preliminary final. Norwood are 6-7, Port are 6-8. You're viewing the preliminary final on ABC Sport.
So for the statistically minded, Port Adelaide a little break in the kicks. The marks are going Norwood's way. The handballs are going Norwood's way. Certainly the frees in favour of Port Adelaide, and Keating, Eastor and Smart doing a job in the ruck. Harvey has 3 goals, probably, we think, to be best on ground at the moment. Hodges, the only multiple scorer for Port Adelaide. And whilst it was even at quarter time and 8 points of difference at half time, it's just 1 point in it, and we are set up, Mark Nally, for a magnificent last term. Harvey, we reckon, is probably the best player. What are your thoughts?
It'd have to be Harvey, and Williams, the Port Adelaide coach, is very concerned about the amount of space that Harvey's been given, also about Cunningham and also about McIntosh. He's not allowed to get into the ball. He's also concerned about the big ruckman and Keating. He's just pushing his Port Adelaide players around. And the Norwood coach Road, he just wants a big 30 minutes of football.
Well, that is a bit rare for the big blokes of Port Adelaide to be beaten. This is going to be a magnificent last 30 minutes leading into next week's grand final. Who's it going to be?
Well, it's anyone's ball game. I don't know that you could be brave enough to nominate a winner from here. It's a 1-point ball game. Port Adelaide, you'd suspect, have got the finals edge in experience as Dickey goes forward. Jarman gathers it in, handballs it off. Rowe missed it, comes back, punches it out on the overlap. Harvey was very clever to Reid. Reid shoots for goal. Great work. Deep in defence was Carter. It was Wilson who applied the smother and set it all up. It was special. Now Eastor plays on. Needs to bring it back to the point of the 10-yard square. Reid sits under it. Oh, sometimes luck plays a part in football. That ball just dipped over the head of Mead.
Well, you make your own luck. Norwood, they won the centre bounce break, which is crucial at the opening of any quarter. They've had the numbers in this opening minute. Port Adelaide certainly have the numbers around the drop of that ball, but it did fall right into the arms of Ashley Reid.
97 goals in 31 games, and he gets it through for his second of the day. An important goal, and it puts the Redlegs in front. Momentum swings, doesn't it? And right now it's with the Redlegs.
Well, you can see there Norwood, they've hit the front. 7 goals, 7 leading Port Adelaide, 6 goals, 8. They really have gained the momentum. They opened the third quarter well, they finished the third quarter off well, and now again they've won the first centre bounce break in this vital fourth quarter, finishing in a goal to Ashley Reid.
This is just fantastic, and the first time that Norwood have hit the front since the 18-minute mark of the second term, as Francis goes with a big boot and gives it away. And I don't think there'll be any problem there when you get a kick. Keating will be more than happy to get the football into his mitts and get on with it. Here's Harvey. A little too long this time. Anthony is gone for holding the ball, then puts it down, and probably should have gone for 25 metres. Umpire didn't see it that way. It was a good chase from Poole, wasn't it? His kick to the 15-metre line. It goes out the back. The game's alive here in the prelim final. It's just absolutely on the line. Carter gives some ground, goes back. Port Adelaide need to bounce back. Borlase couldn't. It was just a little too far for him. Bowman's desperation has been a feature of the game. He's been sensational. Across the top, Davey, watch out for Wilson. The Michael Wilson tackle was good, and so too was the tackle on Bowman. Played on, Cunningham, isn't this a game? Towards centre wing it goes. Growden takes it. Shepherded out beautifully by Stephen Rowe, whose impact has been okay. Short pass finds Eastor. His big kick should go towards the head of the square. It does. Watch for Reid. Watch for Smart on the one hand, who takes it. 1 goal to Smart, and statistically he hasn't been outstanding with 3 kicks, 3 handballs and 4 marks, but you feel that his presence has been very good.
Well, it's the extra height advantage. You can clearly see the bigger, taller frame of number 22, Smart, over Binky. A crucial kick.
Right, Sam, what can you do? 35 out. Slides it inside and through for a behind. So they don't get the break that they were looking for. 3.5 minutes gone. It's still just 6 points the difference.
And this is where, with the experience of Roger Delaney, who was just a magnificent kick of the football, you should see Port Adelaide almost take the ball to the other end of the ground.
Well, they push it wide. Mead was the target. Dickey at the back. The pack collapsed in front of him and he marked it. He was coming 4 deep. Feeds it off to Macca, who's on the preferred left. Centres it up. Who's there? Eastow. Underneath it, Carter. Claimed by Rowe. Goes to ground. Brown shovels it up. Cunningham gets through traffic. Look at this. The handball over the top. Finds Harvey. Snaps for goal. He's already got 3. But this one's going to bounce across the line.
Now, I've got to ask you, why wasn't that deemed holding the ball? The one on Harvey in the midfield when he went to kick the ball was absolutely, in my opinion, the wrong decision. That one there, if they'd been a consistent, had to be a free kick to Norwood.
Wrist injury to Keating.
Kicking in danger, a possibility through the middle of the ground. Harvey snaps, left leg. I don't think that was a goal, but it's gone through, so that's all that counts. A lot of celebration going on from the fans, but I was just looking at the players with no reaction. 4 to Harvey, 4.5 minutes gone, and Norwood with the break that they wanted, 8-8 to 6-8.
Well, Port Adelaide allowing that ball over the back from that boundary throw, and it should have been smashed. The connection wasn't made, and it come to the back where Harvey just snared upon it, and a great leftward snap. He's 4th. He is the difference in the game.
Thanks to Chris Lockyer behind the goals. We got a good angle of that. It was a goal. But the Norwood players weren't celebrating just yet. Harvey and Wilson off the ball.
Are we going to see it again from Port Adelaide? 3 times during the year we saw them capitulate in the last quarter. And they couldn't go the distance with Central District. It's a trait that we're not used to associating with Port Adelaide, but they look tired.
And possibly more significantly, a fortnight ago here when these two sides met, it was Norwood who finished all over them, not able to get the points to win the game, but they were outstanding in their final quarter.
What's the feeling like on the boundary line, Mark?
Well, Port Adelaide coach Williams is throwing Mead at the centre half back. He's put the big fella, number 30 for Port Adelaide, Paul. He's just put him in the ruck. He wants some aggression. He wants some tough tactics thrown around there.
Well, it's the only way. They've got to get hard at the footy. They've got to get hard at the ball. Not pretty. They've just got to force the ball forward. They've had enough kicks for Hodges and for Smith to capitalise, but they need to get it down there.
And my mind casts back to the qualifying final. Port was 7 goals up at 3/4 time, and the Redlegs came striding home only to go down by 13 points. That one's out of bounds on the full. So Port Adelaide have always answered their critics. Can they do it today? They trail by 12 points. There's 6.5 minutes in.
As Feegit goes back onto the ground, Mead has actually been taken from the arena.
Here's McIntosh. His distribution is always accurate. It finds Dan Tokia. In the sunshine at Football Park, closing was Feegit. Just clipped Groudon before he got the kick away, and charging at the ball and doing very well was Binky, number 24 for Port Adelaide. Good outing for him.
It's been a very good duel, that. Binky much shorter in frame, but has really done well. Not so well there, but it has been Smart, only with a few possessions, but they have been, well, they've been vital ones.
Well, the bulk of this Norwood side will have been involved in last year's preliminary final, where they lost to 24 points, or by 24 points to Central. The scars would still be there, and they're making up for it at the moment. Ball lays inside half forward. Watch for Hodges. Couldn't. Bamford just threw it away. Knew where Smith was, but couldn't quite get it to him. The smother's magnificent. Bamford once more. It's worked back to him. 2-on-1 stuff, though, and it's going to be tough as the boundary line looms.
And what about the smother there of Stephen Daniels, number 8, playing fullback on Scott Hodges? Really just launches himself at that. That is tremendous. That is finals winning football, that type of stuff. The 1%ers, the tackles, the smothers, the shepherds, the blocks, body in line. Great stuff, Stephen Daniels.
Fair amount of emotion in the crowd and the commentary box. Ball A's, chips it forward, Hodges. Got it, the big fellow. Claims the mark.
And that's where you've got to be, David, in front. Ball ace, not pretty, just effective. Just force the ball forward, and Hodges in front is rewarded with this shot for goal.
Mark Naley on the boundary line as a change on. Coming on Rowan Smith, and Bamford comes off. as Hodges, with 2 today, 1 in the first, 1 in the third, can bring the Magpies back. He's missed. He's missed it. It's a point. Feel the tension. Magpie fans plead for a goal. They need a goal.
And if
they trail by 11 points.
You would have just about banked on that, wouldn't you?
Oh, no question of that. Still, the man is only human.
They're the ones he's always kicked, though, Ken. He always kicks the important goal.
This kick out is crucial to Norwood's chances of winning this game.
Well, they've gone into the huddle at centre-half back, and now they fan. Port Adelaide have them covered except for Harvey, who just slipped into the pocket, a little bit of a night raid, and did it well. Decides to squeeze it across the goals. You wouldn't want to mess around with it too much, boys, because you'll get pinged by this Port Adelaide side who works very hard on you. And that is just a little layerising when it goes across the line far side.
Well, the efficiency just wasn't there. The disposal from Harvey and then further from Daniels just wasn't able to hit the mark. Norwood certainly had the loose player in Davey if the disposal was effective.
McIntosh off the ground. Carter, Clements, good desperation. Clements, that was very clever. Off it goes to Rowe, needs support. Back to Clements through the midfield. To half forward goes the kick. Smart tripped and couldn't get to the contest. Fiacci, who was terrific in the first term, went down the kick. It was stripped away by Eastow. Well done, big man. Cunningham forward, all on his own. Is Reid 30 out directly in front. Jarman tried to run on, but big Ashley Reid will go back and kick his third goal.
Well, this is the most inspirational smother you could ever wish to see. Simon Eastow, he is a big man, but the mobility, the athleticism, the agility, the desperation for him to be able to execute such a smother, such a vital smother.
Reid, from about 30 metres out, has nailed it. And what about Scott Hodges' miss now? Doesn't that make them pay the price? It's a 2-goal miss, if you like. It's
a 2-goal turnaround. As we talked about, the efficiency of that kick out from Norwood had to be there. Eventually it was. They worked it forward, but it's the Eastow smother. Just a magnificent smother.
Well, Reid and Harvey combined with a little throw-in from Jarman have kicked 5 of the last 6 goals. They're on fire.
Well, they're looking like winners at this stage, but Port Adelaide, if any side can get back, they can. What an interesting aspect of this match. McIntosh. Reid, I can share with you, 12 kicks, 3 handballs, and 11 marks. Dominant player, and he's kicked 3 goals to 2. Hasn't he made his impact felt? Now, Poole just marked only down on the boundary.
Emotions are running high down here at the boundary level. The supporters, the trainers, the runners, everyone's getting very involved, getting very emotional down here. Another change is about to be made. Figut's about to come off, and the young sensation in Treadray's about to come back on. Can he lift Port Adelaide?
Possibly he can, but what's up to them out there at the moment is a deficit of 17 points.
Now watch Poole and watch Rowe here in the midfield at the back. Boom, right on the chin. That's a point scorer.
It's also not very clever when you might be playing in a grand final next week. Treadray on, Figut off again. He's been on off a few times today. And Greg Phillips just cruising through the screen there, as Mark suggested. Lots of tension. A bounce down about 20 metres out from that Port Adelaide goal. They need one, and they need one now. Wilson charged at the ball. Thrown out. Ginniver. Great smother. The little 1%ers, as Ken Sheldon calls them, are on offer at the moment. Treadray charging through. Was he tripped? No. Great tackle on Brown. Norwood are so desperate back there to close it down.
Todd Davey, he really has had a special game, and there to be able to lay that smother on, you can see, well, the desperation is just sensational, is probably the only way to describe it.
No doubt about it. Bassett dumps it towards the line. We're 12 minutes 40 into the final term. It's a 17-point ball game favouring the Redlegs, who missed last year's grand final after being swamped in the final term by Central. Rowe over the top, stolen away by Ginniver, claimed, gang tackle, goes to ground, it falls out to ball A's, picks up the loose ball, tries to crash through, 2-on-1 again. It was Rowe and Cunningham.
Tim Ginniver still got a head down there, do you think? Was that a little high?
I don't think they'll be playing any Tiki Touchwood free kicks in the last 15 minutes of this game.
Hang on, a question for you. Was it too high? Looked like he got his head taken off.
Doesn't matter if it was, it's Dean play on. And what a desperate game of football is when you see 3 ball-ups and a throw-in a period of about a minute of football.
Harvey with a shoulder injury. I think Lee's cleaned him up as he dispatched the kick, and he's been one of their best today. He's been fantastic with 26 possessions. And here it comes. He gets away the kick. It wasn't Lee's. Who was that?
It was a strong hit.
Delaney.
It was a Southern Aurora, I think.
Oh, the AC joint. Oh.
It's the second one he's copped, Harvey. He copped one earlier in the game, right in the centre square, where Darryl Poole ran right over the top of him. Great courage, this young man. And Giorgio will be the player that will replace him.
I think it might have been Hodges, to tell you the truth. Yeah, Scotty Hodges is the man who cleaned him up.
Giorgio comes back on, and Harvey, in a lot of pain, will go to the bench. And that's significant because Harvey's been a sensation today through the midfield. As we see another big pack of players out there on the half-forward line for Norwood. Wilson, northeast. Jarman's pressure was excellent. Allowed Wilson to come in though and snare it. Then goes with the left boot. His kick is marked by Greg Anderson, just backward of centre wing. Well, there are bound to be some tired lads out there. Anderson kicks up towards half-forward with his 9th kick for the day, and it's well taken. Timmy Ginniver flew it in with a flying mare, but Keating was well under control.
David and Goliath stuff that. Kick forward. Eastow goes at it, but Carter steals away the mark as Harvey goes to the bunker. And Davey picks up the loose ball. There's a free kick behind play. Darren Smith has the free against Bowman. The ball goes back. Fabian Francis gives him a lead. Ignored. Bassett spoils Rowan Smith around the corner. A high ball. Ball lasers under Hodges. It's Hodges! That's the important grab.
Oh, it's strong, isn't it?
There is just a sense when Scott Hodges imposes his will on a football match that he can do anything.
Well, that is just superior judgment. A difficult ball to judge, the flight in the air, but magnificent strong mark in the clinches.
16 minutes gone. He's kicked 2 goals. 1 steps off it, and he knows they're the ones that need to be kicked.
They are the ones that need to be kicked. Specialist goal kickers shouldn't miss from that distance. But again, it is in difficult conditions, but such a crucial let-off for the Redlegs.
Just tried to poke it through, didn't he? Tried to guide it. He didn't really kick the kick, as the saying goes. And it's a rare mistake from the big fellow at full forward, who we've seen crunch games open in past years. It goes out the back. They're not done with yet, though, Port Adelaide, while Poole's collected the ball. The free kick's going to George. Now, Fiacci has a look at it from 55 metres out. It hurts right to the head of the square. Going with a flight of the ball was Nathan Bassett, and Mark Nailey. It finds the line, but the game's alive. Can Port Adelaide bounce back?
I don't think they can, Stephen. They just seem to be missing too many shots too many times. You expect Scott Hodges to kick those sort of goals. But a quick update on Anthony Harvey. The doctors had a look at him. Doesn't seem to be anything structurally wrong. No breaks or dislocations. He's got ice on his shoulder. So I reckon it'll be a good 24 hours before you know the result.
Miller in the bunker with the flu. Harvey with an AC joint being iced up. You wonder how many fit men they'll have if, in fact, they get through to next week's grand final. Bassett flings it out to McIntosh, whose second half's been fantastic. Dan Tokia has been very tough in defence, and this fellow's given everything. Davey misjudged that one. Rowan Smith inboard. Now Anderson, whose form's been pretty solid today as well. A long one, and Borlase gathers it in just outside 50. 15 possessions to Anderson. Now it's Ginniver. Forward with the handball, Rowan Smith. He loves kicking these. He's a specialist. Can he nail one? He does. It's an important goal. He gets his first. Port Adelaide 7-11, 53. Trail the Redlegs 9-8, 62. The margin back to only 9 points, Ken.
And a magnificent finish to this game. The Norwood defenders were so intent on covering Scott Hodges, they forgot about Rowan Smith. Borlase got it onto Ginniver, and Ginniver with great understanding of what's going on around him. understood that Smith was on his own. All the Norwood defenders had sucked back trying to cover the lead of Hodges, but it was Smith who bobbed up ever so often, the opportunist.
So 9 points the difference, and honestly, you couldn't ask for anything more between these two great heavyweights, slogging it out to try and earn the right to play Central next week. And I was just thinking of Central. They'll be loving this. Two sides crashing into each other, and one by one just going off the ground with sore spots. And Central will be just right for it, but Port Adelaide not done with yet. Ball A's, Hodges is up there, so's Darren Smith. He's the only one out of that lot that kept feet. Brown, taken high was Hodges, who staged it according to Ken Sheldon, I reckon. Towards half forward on the right-hand side, Wilson is still there. Hands it up. Anderson's in the middle, decides not to use him, just slips it through towards Ginnivan. And Ginnivan, neat-looking pass, taken though by Keating.
I think totally to the contrary. I think that was a red-hot free kick to Hodges, and well, the Port Adelaide supporters, they will be going to berserk.
All right, Keating, Carter for Port Adelaide. Spent last week in the reserves. He's played pretty well today. Drills it long. Hodges is the target. From behind it was Treadray. Hodges crashes in over the top, but Keating did well, the big man, to get down and make a contest. We're 19 and a half minutes into the final term. 7-11 plays 9-8. We've got a 9-point ball game.
Keating has played particularly well. Sitting a kick behind the play, really has done a fine job for his team.
We're almost into time on. Port Adelaide, it looked out of bounds, but they played it on. Well, that's a fairly deliberate action, wasn't it? Because it got dragged back.
Unfortunately, it didn't go out.
That's right. So it was a play on call.
Now, I think had that gone out, Ken, fortunately, Giorgio gets in there. And we might mention that Giorgio will have his 21st birthday next Saturday. I suppose he'll be having a 21st birthday party on the Saturday night. Will he before the Sunday game? That's a stupid question, isn't it?
That's if they make the Sunday game.
Well, they're not there yet by a long stretch, but...
There are a lot of players down in that full forward line for Port Adelaide. Norwood have worked back in numbers. They've done a Sydney Swans. They've pushed back. And Port Adelaide are just going with the man for man. The only thing that Port have got is one spare one on the back play, sitting a kick and a half back. And it happens to be Darryl Poole. Borlase, 20 kicks last week. Pretty good day for him as well so far today. Big leap from Treadray. Took it down, couldn't do anything in that big pack of players though. Anderson. They need some space, Port Adelaide, just to crack it for one. Bassett. Here it's starting to open up the spaces. McIntosh, here it is. There was Poole on the back play. And here's Ginnivan from the 50-metre line. Watch for Hodges and Bowman, who leapt up over the top but couldn't complete the mark. Darren Smith, they're still in there with a chance. McGuinness, Brown, favoured side and goal. Well, Brownie gets his second. And this, on the 27th birthday of David Brown, makes it a 3-point ball game, a minute and a half into time on.
And it's the structure of Port Adelaide that enabled this goal to happen. Poole was sitting back behind the play, give it to Ginnivan, they put it in there, they fought for it, they've come to the front of the pack. The crummers for Port Adelaide were there, and they were able to share it eventually to the free David Brown, who didn't let them down with a fine left foot snapshot for goal.
Well, it's come down to this, 21 and a half minutes into the final term. The two great clubs of South Australian football are locked away in a titanic struggle. With 3 points, the margin separating, Norwood have the lead, and we've just clocked 22 minutes gone. We're 2 minutes into time on. Umpire Richard Williams sets the big fellows at it again. Poole pushes off, claims the ball. Dickey strips it away, goes to ground, gets off a handball. Now the umpires really are letting it flow, but now they'll be forced to bounce.
We'll just go down to you, Mark Nailey, and ask the question. There are a few nerves up here at the moment, I reckon, and the hearts are racing a bit faster. What about down on the boundary? No question, there's too much crowd noise, tough for him to get hold of it. Norwood now with an opportunity inside half forward. Port Adelaide have the numbers there though. Well done by Benke to Carter. Port Adelaide, they need another one, and they need it fairly quickly because there won't be a lot of time on in this game. Growden, front spot, magnificent mark. Just held up the flow of the play.
Growden's been particularly good after half-time.
Growden from the grandstand wing through half forward. Smart couldn't get to the contest. Poole just under pressure, dropped it. Rowe over the top, claimed by Binky, was good work.
And just a chance now to ask Mark as the crowd dies down a little bit. As I said, the pulse rate's up here. What about on boundary side?
As I said before, the emotions are running hot down here with the players. Just what sort of game is this? They're just throwing themselves over the ball, over bodies, over legs, kicking balls. It's just fantastic effort by both sides. But Port, you never write them off.
No, you can't. McGuinness strips the ball away to Brown. Feeds it out. Ginnivan. Hasn't he lifted this final term? Look at this. Underneath it is two men, Hodges and Smith. Now, Hodges called Smith into that. It was great work. He'll kick from 45. He pushes it to the point of the square. Pushing, bustling, Treadray's there. Dickey drops back, couldn't get there. Cunningham off the ground, it's out of bounds on the full. And a Port Adelaide free kick. No.
Didn't quite carry, David. Looked like it did, but just dropped at the last minute. A good fortune for the Redlegs.
So just on the line. So Keating thumps it down. Dickey tries to get through. Claimed by Brown. Bantocchio dribbler to the line. He's found Cunningham. One step, bangs it around the corner. That's out of bounds on the full. Now you've got to ask the question, Ken, who would Central rather play, Port or Norwood, in the grand final?
Hodges has taken a beauty. Wow. We've seen him miss on the last couple of attempts. And let's just crystallise some of this for you. 24 and a half minutes gone. 3 points of difference. Norwood have the break. Hodges, the Ken Farmer medalist from 1996, the Magarey medalist from 1990, from 40 metres out, this time thumps at it, he pumps it up there, it lands on the line and goes through for one. Anguished moment. I think Norwood thought it was through, but it's gone through from behind.
Let me just share with you, Norwood have beaten Central 3 times out of 3 this year. Port Adelaide haven't beat Centrals in 4 attempts this year. Who do you reckon the Bulldogs would rather play?
I think that perhaps answers the question, doesn't it?
Not really. I'm going to tell you, they're going to have to play one of these sides, and Port Adelaide in the grand final would be awesome.
Here's Dickey's kick towards centre wing. Port Adelaide, time's running out, lads. It's 25 and a bit minutes gone. 8 goals versus 9 goals, which means that we've had 5 goals scored through this term. As Fiacci gets it and thumps it back up within about 60. Time is running out. They need a goal and they need it very quickly. Hand it off. The stakes are just so high here. The Central District Grand Final awaits one of these sides, and we'll know in just a couple of moments as Macca sees it across the line.
Norwood fan feels the tension. Not since 84 have they won a grand final. They've still got to get there. They lead by 2 points. We're 26 minutes into the final term as Brown gets away a kick. Dickey goes to ground, recovers, gets off a handball to Jars. Jars was clever, pushes it forward, Rowe upended, Macca to the boundary line. Now there's a bit of experience. There's the Norwood bench. Tyson, Harvey with a shoulder injury, and Miller off, we believe, with the flu, sitting on the bench.
The experience of McIntosh, fantastic, just to use the safety of the boundary, soak up the vital seconds that are remaining in this game.
I reckon flu or no flu, be looking for a Panadol at the moment, just to calm the headache.
Just back onto that point before, David, these 3 sides that are left in the competition at this stage, there is nothing between the 3 of them.
Good call. Very good.
You have to say that with Central going straight through, they do have just that little bit extra. They finished minor premier, back on the business now though as Growden slides to the ground. He'd be careful not for going for holding the ball there. And Francis, 1 on 4, did okay.
Fabian's right, you know, and his tackling today's been fantastic. Player goes to ground, he drags the ball in, and Fabian got him. Probably should have been a free. And that's one of really Fabian Francis's great attributes, his tackling, isn't it?
27 minutes gone, and the time is just ticking away. Norwood holding on for their life at the moment as Port Adelaide. They get very few more opportunities, better than this one. This is Ginnivan. Watch for Hodges at the front. It comes to the front spot. Treadray's there. Handballs towards the line. Rowan Smith, can he control it? He does, but the Norwood are there in numbers. And they close it down once more. Just 2 points of difference. Norwood have that slender lead.
3-on-1, Ken back there. They know Hodges is the danger man.
Well, they know that he's the man that is capable of winning it off his own bit. The next kick, next goal, obviously is going to win this game. And they really have to stop the most likely Port Adelaide player, and that is certainly Scott Hodges.
Rowe went to touch with the ball. We're 28 minutes into the final term.
And from this throw-in situation, Port Adelaide simply needs somebody to just get to some space.
Well, it's on their forward line. They need to tap it out the back. Norwood will keep forcing it towards the boundary line. There can only be seconds left as Dickey goes towards the line yet again.
And hasn't it just been a sensational last 3 or 4 minutes of football? The intent was clearly there. Gary McIntosh using the boundary earlier on, and there's probably been half a dozen throw-ins since.
Keating, Bowman has done his bit, trying to hit it towards the congestion. It goes to some space now. Port Adelaide a chance. Treadway, quick kick for goal, and has gone across the face. It's still in business though. Hodges is there. Idem snare it beautifully. They've still got some space. Hodges still plays on. Well, I said at the start of the game, as you see the Norwood fans and indeed the bench devastated by that, I said at the start of the game that this man is to Port Adelaide as Lockett is to the Sydney Swans. And in a preliminary final 2 weeks ago, you remember Scott Hodges, as he lines up, had Lockett kick one after the siren.
Now, he'll need to kick a goal here because we're 29 minutes gone and the breeze is going left to right. This is one of the toughest kicks ever.
And he's a long way out. He hits it. And he's kicked it, I think. Hodges kicks it.
I don't believe it.
Port Adelaide, you are miracle workers.
That is unbelievable.
Scott Hodges has kicked it.
Unbelievable.
What a player. That is one of the most difficult shots for goal you could ever imagine. The breeze is going strongly from left to right. He's had to thread that through the eye of a needle.
Let's get back to it. 4 points the difference. Port Adelaide a 9-12. Norwood a 9-8. We have played 29 and a half minutes in the last quarter of the prelim final. Norwood need it to go down, and they need it to go down very quickly or they're out of business.
Well, they need to get a goal. A point won't do. Great courage. Fiarchi took the ball, carried it forward. There's the siren. Port Adelaide have stolen it. Scott Hodges has kicked a miracle goal 15 seconds before the end of the game. And Port Adelaide get up by 4 points. This game will go down as an all-time classic. And the Magpies go through to play Central District in next week's grand final. And you can see where the Port Adelaide legend was born. And it was rebirthed here today.
Well, it's a never say die attitude. You've seen there from Hodges, magnificent. A magnificent goal, and every Port Adelaide player is just wrapped in the euphoria, just enjoying the complete jubilation of this magnificent, magnificent victory.